How are you guys doing? The Denver Nuggets are officially one game away from winning their first championship in franchise history, and I, for one, am very excited. I'll share with you something kind of personal and a little bit small about why I'm so excited. For those of you who are very keenly aware of history, Yugoslavia, Serbia, has a really rich history in basketball. The sport is played on every street corner. It is enjoyed by most of the kids. Handball is big, tennis can be big, soccer can be big, but basketball is like essence, right? And I got to tell you that it's difficult when you think about it to come from a country that's very small because everything you do is put on the world stage as that's what that country does. And I'll tell you that throughout the 90s, Yugoslavia quite was perceived in a very bad way for most of the world, especially North Americans, right? People from Western Europe and North America, they started to view this entire area as regressive. And if you believe anything about the self-looking glass, then how you begin to perceive how you are perceived begins to seep into how you perceive yourself. And so I think it was 2000 or 99. And there's this instance where someone asked, where are you from? And you say, where are you born? And, you say former Yugoslavia. And there's this like look of mistrust immediately. There's a look of like, what have you done? What do you believe? Why are you so backwards? Why are you people so crazy? And you realize that, of course, the people that you know from there are sane people. They're people who protest. They're people who have sensible ideas. They're not all backwards. But the images that these people in the United States have only seen are bearded, crazy looking people holding AK-47s. And so it was very important for, people to change that. And I think that a lot has been done to change that. I think a lot can be done through sport. Obviously, to those of you who are a little bit older, you'll remember that Yugoslavia fielded some of the best teams in the world when the countries were together, when the republics were together: Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Slovenia. I mean, clearly you're seeing the talent that is emerging from these places in the form of Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. But there have been so many players like Toni Kukoc, Peja Stojakovic, Vlade Divac, and it's been such a rich history. And I got to tell you, in 2000, when you told people that you were born in Yugoslavia, there was like a curved eye towards you. But in 2012, I remember I got on a plane and it was 2012 or 2013, and there was this British lady next to me, and she said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to Serbia." And she says, "Oh, are you from Serbia?" And I was like, "Yes." And she said, like Djokovic. Like Djokovic. And that's how it changes. That's how it changes. The perception changes because Novak Djokovic is a funny guy. He jokes around. He's jovial. He's social. He's fun. He's good with the microphone. He's lighthearted. It changes the perception around the world of what people think when they associate Serbia. So I guess I wanted to get that off my chest to say that, this is a really important thing for people who come from small countries, whether you come from Lithuania, Serbia, or whether you come from a country that doesn't even have a country, like you're from a people that doesn't have people like Kurds, right? That sort of feeling that you have to represent, a small portion of people. Like, I mean, if you're American, like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot is being done for you, right? There's millions and millions of people in the public eye that are from your country. But I guess that's what I'm saying, is that sentimentally, it's very beautiful to watch the entire world celebrate someone from Serbia, especially like Americans, listening to Americans praise this Serbian basketball player for being so unselfish, giving, kind, celebrating his team's success. It's basically every single thing that we were not associated with. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one is saying he's angry, he's violent, he's backwards, he's this, he's that. And I just think that's so cool. And, you know, just a, a little bit of a fun plug to anyone who has never been to Serbia or has never been to Croatia. I sincerely suggest that you take your next vacation there. It's beautiful countries, beautiful region, beautiful people, way more progressive than anyone would ever give them credit for in the West. And, you know, if you love basketball, this is a great place to be. It's a great place to be. So, speaking of the Denver Nuggets, right? Nikola Jokic tweaks his ankle. You're like, oh no, this is the Jason Tatum thing all over again. So early in the game. And he basically parks himself out into the 3-point line, becomes a bit of a decoy, spacing the floor. I cannot understand why someone with the quickness of a Bam Adebayo felt the need to give up as many 3-pointers to a guy who's clearly immobilized with ankle issues. Jokic was not looking to drive. There was absolutely no reason not to hug him on the 3-point line and just take that away. Um, you're taking away nothing, right? And they did the same thing with Aaron Gordon, and he made them pay a few times as well. So I'm not saying that Bam Adebayo had a bad game by any means. I think he played all right, but I think that you got to sometimes realize what are you taking away and who are you guarding here, right? Like Aaron Gordon, like I understand Kevin Love backing off Aaron Gordon because he's quick enough, but Bam Adebayo should be able to play him straight up. Like you don't need to use tactics. That's just laziness, in my opinion, and they will probably fix that for Game 5. Unfortunately for the Miami Heat, I think it'll be too late. Quite frankly, it's very difficult to come back 3-1. It's even more difficult when you consider the fact that you were already the way less talented team. And furthermore, I think it makes it more complicated that they are going to be doing it on the road. So I think this is a wrap in Game 5. If it's not a wrap in Game 5, and I think the Nuggets know this is going to Game 7. And that is a really scary proposition because anything can happen in a one-game series, as we saw in Boston, right? Jason Tatum gets hurt, suddenly it's difficult. But what I really appreciated was everyone else stepping up for the Denver Nuggets. So I thought it would be useful, given that I think a lot of people watching this are Raptor fans, to just sort of compare and contrast the differences between these two teams. Like the Raptors, and to me, when I would watch the Denver Nuggets or the Sacramento Kings, I would feel like I was watching the anti-Raptors. And there was a couple of plays tonight where, you know, Christian Brown, a rookie with no clout, no status, no contract, whatever, he cuts, and it's the right play, and Jamal Murray finds him. Nikola Jokic finds him. There's like an open three for Jeff Green. Yeah, he's a veteran now. He's not really a 3-point shooter, but it's the right play. So often, they just made the right play. There was that beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, 3-on-1 fast break. Now, 3-on-1 fast break should be immediate and automatic. But I loved that touch pass from Jamal Murray, which resulted in like a clean look at the rim. I believe it was for Bruce Brown. And I just love the connectivity. And it's not just Nikola Jokic, it's everybody. His unselfishness is so infectious on this team. And you look at someone like Aaron Gordon, who they spent a lot of time profiling tonight because he was a leading scorer for the Nuggets and he didn't really play outside of himself for the most part. And, you know, it's just, it's difficult for the Miami Heat, who are already so outmatched, so outclassed, to match up now with a fourth scorer, right? And so they've been sort of scram switching and they've been like trying to get Kyle Lowry or Gabe Vincent or their weakest defender on him. And that's been a mistake. And, you know, credit the Nuggets for not having ego about it. They're like, you know what? You want to put your weakest defender on our fourth option? Well, our fourth option is too big for your weakest defender. And we're just going to punish you. We're going to punish you until you do something else. And that's just smart basketball. It's just smart basketball. You know, I think about what Scotty Barnes does on the basketball court. Like I think about what Jakob Poeltl does on the basketball court. And that's what they do. They just make the right play. I look at guys like Jeff Doughton. They just make the right play all the time. You just see these guys. They make the right play. OG Anunoby, I think he tries. I think the Raptors have a lot of nuggetsy type of players, you know, guys who buy into that philosophy. So I'm very curious to see with the coaching change if the rest of the guys, maybe guys who didn't really play that way, can come into that. Because I got to tell you, Aaron Gordon was a star. I mean, he wasn't a very good star. He's a former McDonald's All-American. Michael Porter Jr. was billed as a #1 overall pick type of prospect, also a McDonald's All-American. These guys have no problem being a third and fourth option. They have no problem with that. Jamal Murray, you know, for all intents and purposes, probably a more talented player than Jaylen Brown, right? I mean, we can argue if he's better. Maybe he's not better, but he's definitely more talented, right? He's got the full 3-level package. He can shoot, dribble, pass. He can score on all 3 levels. He really does have like that full perfect second option, right? Such a great second option. Could be a first option on a lot of teams. You just don't see him. You don't see him hijack the offense. You always see everything, playing into the size. What I found super interesting also was look at that lineup that the Nuggets ran when Jokic went to the bench with his 5th foul. Jeff Green and Aaron Gordon, that was their 4-5. That's 6'8", 6'7", 6'8", 6'8". Where's the center, right? They're not jumping to play DeAndre Jordan because, oh man, Bam Adebayo is on the other side. No, they trusted quickness. Bruce Brown, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP drives me insane. It's almost like maybe it's selective bias, but almost every single time I watch him, he's doing something stupid. But he has been much needed. It's been a much needed injection of defense for the team. Let's take a look quickly at the box score. I mean, this game was not really close. The Nuggets led pretty much wire to wire, despite a bit of a, let's call it a faux comeback. I think it was largely aided by the referees. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think like those fouls. I think Jimmy got to the line 2 times, and it was just like those were not fouls. Like, he just rammed right into Jamal Murray, and it's like, oh, it's a foul, right? But it was interesting. Aaron Gordon, 27 points, plus 29. Nikola Jokic, not a Jokic-like game. This is the second time in about 4 games now he's had less than 5 assists, but he didn't need to dominate, right? He didn't play 45 minutes or whatever. I think they were being cautious with that ankle, and they didn't need him to, but he was so dominant in the minutes that he was on the court. But you notice the team worst in terms of starters, plus minus. This was a total team effort for that team. He wasn't right. Clearly he wasn't right, but I think he did a lot of good things for them. 3 blocks, 3 steals. Like, I mean, you got to appreciate it. We'll talk about his defense because there was a comment on the last video, someone kind of trolling me for saying, like, did you just say Nikola Jokic's defense is underrated? Yes, I damn well did. And you understand why I'm saying that. Absolutely. For the Miami Heat, they got 25 points from Jimmy Butler, 20 from Bam Adebayo, and then not another player cracks 15 points. I think Kyle Lowry played really well. I think he was the better guard between him and Gabe Vincent tonight. I mean, when you get one field goal from Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, you need more. But at the same time, you do have to ask yourself, how good are these guys? Were they just playing over their head? Was it a hot streak? I mean, this is kind of who they are, right? I mean, they're not stars. I understand that some people want to see Gabe Vincent as a star because he had 29 points in a big game. But this is kind of, this is what you get. This is what you get when you get role players and you're elevating them up. And this is, again, nothing to take away from the Miami Heat. They're just not as talented a team. And I'm not just saying that because I'm being a prisoner of the moment. This has always been the case. It's been a miracle that they have been in all the games that they've been in and that they have knocked out the teams. There's a reason why losing to them got Coach Bud fired, because they had no business, right? It's been heart, it's been hustle, it's been intelligence, it's been grit, grind, smart coaching, schemes, etc. And they have been able to outcoach pretty much every single series until this one. This is the first time I do not feel like Eric Spoelstra is outcoaching the opposing team. I actually think, and I'm quite surprised by this, to be honest. Mike Malone is handily outcoaching this series. And I think it's just because he has more talent. I think he has more weapons. I think he's just, it's healthier. At this point, a lot of concerns about Tyler Hero. Would he come back? Should he come back? Et cetera, et cetera. Well, now you're down 3-1. And you really have nothing to lose with bringing him back. There's nothing to disrupt, right? Andre saying like Austin Reeves. I disagree completely, man. Austin Reeves, that's a different. I think that's a little bit different. I think Austin Reeves is real. Like I've seen him in some very high leverage moments. And I'm not saying he's going to be a star or anything like that, but I definitely think he's a starter on most teams. Like he's really played himself up. He's got incredible basketball IQ. He's got great ball skills. He's on a developmental path like I was not expecting. He is 25 years old. It's not like he's a bit of a new name. He's 25. You could argue he's probably a year or two away from his prime. So, you know, how good will he be really? Will he be like a slightly better Evan Fournier? Well, Fournier got like a $68 million contract. I don't think, you know, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent are getting $68 million contracts. I think Austin Reeves would start, you know, for the Miami Heat, to be honest. Mel saying Miami ran out of gas. Yeah, it certainly felt so, right? But I think both teams were tired. I think this has been a really long grind, and I think this is just coming down to who wants it more. I know it sounds like a platitude, and it's a little bit, you know, silly to say at this stage who wants it more, but you know, in between two people, there's always going to be a situation where someone wants it more, right? I think Caleb Martin played pretty well tonight, not really shooting that well, but I think, you know, he was active. Again, I don't see a pathway to how they're supposed to stop what's coming at them, right? There's like 4 guys, and the 5th guy, because of all the unselfishness, is always activated. Whether that 5th guy is Bruce Brown, whether that 5th guy is KCP, whether that 5th guy is, you know, whoever it is, it really doesn't matter. Like you go down the list, like, you know, there's a lot of players on this team who can cut to an open spot, and they all play the right way, right? It's like Jeff Green, you know, Bruce Brown took 11 shots tonight. I mean, it's just really nice to see. And, you know, the selflessness, it just carries forward, right? So now let's talk about Nikola Jokic's defense, because a lot of people seem to have really, really bought into this narrative because certain people have, you know, things that they like to say about this guy. They like to say he's out of shape. They like to say he's, you know, a bad defender. They like to say that he's not athletic. Man, MDJ had a great video on this. I highly implore you to watch it. Shout outs to MDJ, really cool YouTuber. And he talked about this notion that Nikola Jokic is not athletic. It's a complete bullshit notion, right? Like you don't understand athleticism if you think he's not athletic. I mean, we think vertical when we think of athleticism. We don't think about balance. We don't think about hand-eye coordination. But find me an NBA player with great hand-eye coordination, and I will find you a superstar. Almost always a superstar or an all-NBA, all-star. They're always good. Hand-eye coordination is one of the most important things when it comes to basketball. When you talk about Steve Nash, right? There's old stories of Steve Nash dribbling a tennis ball, right? When you watch Steve Nash now, I mean, those of you who follow me know that I'm not the biggest Steve Nash fan. I've largely been on the record saying I didn't think he deserved either one of those MVPs. But credit where credit is due, great player, right? Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Magic Johnson, LeBron James, you talk down the line of the greatest passers to ever hit the game, and their hand-eye coordination is insane. Steph Curry, all of those drills that he does with the target practice and all that stuff, if you've seen it, you've seen it. It's incredible. Hand-eye coordination. Luka Doncic, great hand-eye coordination. Scotty Barnes, great hand-eye coordination. And that hand-eye coordination can come into play in so many different places. It can come into place on defense. And that's where I'm seeing Nikola Jokic making a much bigger impact than people give him credit for. All those deflections, all of those kickballs, all of, you know, those pokes at the ball that don't result in a turnover, but just make the defense think. That's really all it is, man. Like that's part of defense. That's a really big part of defense. At the end of the day, like, look, we don't have any reliable metrics to really gauge who's a good defender and who's a bad defender. We can't really say for sure. You know, we have guys like Hassan Whiteside who rack up a ton of blocks and we're like, nah, but they're a really bad defender, right? And then we have guys who get no blocks, like almost 0 blocks, like and maybe don't get a lot of steals, but we think they're great defenders, like a Klay Thompson, right? Klay Thompson's never a big shot blocker, never a big steals guy, but we knew that he was a great defender. Why? Is it because he consistently shadowed his man? Is it because he consistently forced guys to, take worse shots than they would have otherwise liked to? Is it because he consistently had head-to-head matchups with really difficult matchups and they consistently underperformed the season averages? Yeah, all of that. All of that. But I think at the end of the day, when you talk about defense, like how do I gauge what is a good defender? Well, in the simplest way, do you make other people uncomfortable on offense? And does the level of discomfort that you present to the offensive player result in less efficient offense for the offensive player? Now, this can be a myriad of ways that you can do this. This can be tactical. You just have really quick hands, or this can be a physical thing, like you really like long, like you really long wingspan. This can be psychological too. This could be a psychological thing, like you poke at the ball a lot, you dig at the ball a lot, you dive, you're dirty. You know what I mean? Like you're a dirty player, and you get into players' heads like that. They don't know when you're going to come up underneath their ankles, and that's like the Bruce Bowen effect, right? Then there's just like you're just physically gifted, like a Tayshaun Prince. Like you have like this perfect combination of length, agility, switchability. There's the team defender type, right? Where you are just so versatile that you are basically, there's no bad matchup for you on the entire team. So you could pretty much switch 1 through 5. And that's a gift. We take it for granted as Raptor fans because we have 3 guys who can pretty legitimately do that without like blinking, in Scotty, OG, and Precious. And we have a 4th guy who can do it pretty reasonably well when he puts his mind to it, and Pascal Siakam. And because we have so many guys who can do it, and we don't have like the world's best defense, we're like, this thing's overrated. It's not. It's huge. It's a massive, massive advantage to have a guy who can switch 1 through 5. And I think like when you start adding in like the team oriented schemes, that's when you can start to shut down stars. That's when you start to really, like, I cannot imagine how uncomfortable it feels to go up against an OG Anunoby on offense. Like, I can't even imagine. There are a lot of players who've gone on the record and talked about how great he is. There's a reason why he led the entire NBA in matchup difficulty. There's a reason why teams are offering 3 first-round picks for him, even though he can't dribble a ball 2 times straight without dribbling it off his foot. Yeah, there's a reason, because it's a really valuable skill set. And I'm not saying that, Nikola Jokic is the most versatile guy. He definitely loses some points for that. He's not the best rim protector. He loses some points for that. But man, he is engaged and he is damn disruptive. Like, he's just really smart. Like, he's a really smart guy. Like, he sees his angles. There was a couple of times tonight, because I think his ankle was a little bit twisted, where like, okay, for sure. Like, there was a blow by, there was an open 3 he gave to Kyle that he banked in. And you're just like, okay, if that was Bam Adebayo, that's definitely going to be a better contest, right? But then you balance it out. You're like, okay, well, what about all the, active stuff that he does? What about all the strips with the ball? What about the smart fouls? What about, the kick ball when he knows for a fact that it's going to be a backdoor cut and it's going to be an open layup, and he takes, the 14-second violation and he just does a kickball. And I'm just like, God damn it. Like, he's just saving his team 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. And it's like, you as an offensive player, when this guy's got active feet, active hands, he's playing the passing lanes. I mean, there was a play sequence where it felt like the game was kind of like teetering in a balance, right? And I'm trying to see like if I can find that part of the game, right? Specifically. I want to say it was in the second quarter, right around here. Like, it was right around here. And he had these 2 back-to-back plays where it was like he strips it. He doesn't, like, they don't make a big deal about it, but you could see he's the one who stripped it, and the Nuggets go the other way, and it's 2 points. And then he picks a passing lane, and the Nuggets go back, and it's a 3-on-1 fast break, and the momentum just completely flips. And I tell you, the Miami Heat never led after that. Those types of plays, like, they just break the other team's back, especially when they're happening they're happening on the road. Like, you're just killing the crowd. Like, that crowd, that's supposed to be a home court advantage for the Miami Heat. Like, they just had nothing to cheer for tonight. They were constantly, looking at a team that was down 6, down 8, down 10, down 12. right? So you just don't let the home crowd get into it. To me, that's maturity. And one of the things that I was really worried about is, playoff experience comes in big time when it comes to, the finals. Like we saw it last year with the Boston Celtics. They went up against a more seasoned opponent. They clearly, I think they were the more talented team last year. I think they were the better team. And quite frankly, they just got walked. They got beaten because I think that, the Golden State Warriors just had a mature sensibility about them. And I was worried, to be honest, because the Miami Heat have been there. Kyle Lowry's won a championship. Jimmy Butler's been to the finals. Duncan Robinson, this entire, staff has been to the finals. Malone has never coached in the finals. Eric Spoelstra's coached in the finals like, 4 years, 3 years, 5 years? It's like what? The Miami Heat went to the finals every single year with LeBron, right? Spo was the head coach, right? So he's coached, this is his sixth finals, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Is this sixth finals that he's coaching right now? That's crazy. So the experience here is incredible. And, I worried about that. I was for sure like a little bit worried about that. That's a great point too. Rebounding is a huge part of defense, and is capping a defensive possession is rebounding. So I think that, this entire narrative that we listened to all year about, oh, Jokic is a really bad defender despite his, godly warp, whatever. Like I remember it's like this guy became like a bad PR nightmare for analytics. Like every time I would reference this analytic or that analytic, they'd be like, yeah, but this analytic says that Jokic is better than Embiid. He is. He is better than Embiid. He is better than Embiid. And they're like, but this analytic says he's actually a plus on defense. He is a plus on defense. He does all these really smart things. Like it doesn't look right. I tell you, it doesn't look right. And if you dissect a single play, you'd be like, God damn it. If only he was faster, if only he could jump higher, if only he could do this or whatever. But man, like at the end of the day, it's like, does the team score or not? Are you like, is your team better with you on the court on defense or off the court? The Nuggets have a really good defensive rating with him on the court. Part of it is because he's so good on offense that it really does it tends to, let me put it this way, because of the highly functional nature of the Nuggets offense, largely due to his masterful maestro, precision when it comes to the types of shots that they take. He is a conductor on the court, including on defense. He will often see things like in terms of like guys leaking out, and he will be able to direct traffic. This is the small stuff that he can do, that he does to contribute. So yeah, laterally speaking, if you put him on an island, yeah, like a lot of guys can be able to break him down and get past him. But I guarantee you, he's going to be able to give that guy the right angle. He's going to be able to call for help at the exact time. When he calls for help, he's probably going to be able to switch over to the right guy. He's going to box out. And worst case scenario, he's going to put his arms up and he has a 9'3" standing reach. You know what I mean? There's a really big difference between him being a defensive liability and someone like Trae Young being a defensive liability or De'Aaron Fox being a defensive liability. Because at the end of the day, he's still 7 feet tall, 280 pounds. And I think there's only you can only be so bad on defense when you're that big. That's just kind of my point. Yeah, like you could be on the absurd end of the extremes like Enes Kanter and Jahlil Okafor, in which case, yes, you are absolutely going to get played off the court and, you can't do anything. But if you're smart enough, like you can make it work. I tell you, Marc Gasol, by the end of his career with the Lakers and, the last 2 years of the Raptors, he couldn't move much better than Jokic either. Like, yeah, he was a little bit more nimble and he was definitely a better defender and he was a better shot blocker, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not comparing Nikola Jokic to Marc Gasol, but I am saying that 80% of Marc Gasol's competitive advantages over someone like a Jonas Valanciunas, I mean, it all came down to intelligence. It all came down to knowing what the offense was doing, understanding where people needed to be, communicating. The other thing I noticed about the Nuggets tonight, which I really thought was interesting, was just how communicative this team is. The huddles, people are talking. During free throws, people are talking. There's just constant communication with this team. Jokic never shuts up. Jamal Murray never shuts up. Malone never shuts up. They're just talking. The assistants are talking. This is great chemistry. And this is what we did not see with the Raptors. You just see Fred staring off into space, Pascal staring off into space, Scotty and, OG huddled over in the corner, Nick Nurse staring off into space. It's just like people on the court just kind of looking at each other blankly. Man, I just can't wait for next year because I just can't wait for the vibes to return, man. Like, that's something that I've been so proud of as a Raptor fan over the last, 10 years is like whether it was DeMar and Kyle getting bounced in the second round or, whether it was whether it was like this Siakam led, experiment, which we don't know where it was going to go. It still genuinely felt like the vibes were good and these guys liked each other and it was just fun to watch. So I would really like to, um, can you touch on MPJ and his struggles? Because you see them moving on from him. No, not at all. Absolutely not. The only way that they would have to move on from him, and I don't know if you're asking that like from more of a Raptors perspective, because like he has been really good in this playoff series. Like I think he's been good. Like so you're saying he struggled because he had 23 points. 23 minutes and 11 points. I mean, he's been better defensively. Um, I think the only reason that they would move on from him is because of the contract, right? Like they are super, super, super capped out. And they're going to be, very soon, they're going to be one of those teams that's on the second apron or just on the cusp of the second apron. So I think that that could present an issue. And obviously, if you're choosing between him and Jamal Murray, I think you have to choose Jamal Murray just because of the playoff success and the fact that, his chemistry with Nikola Jokic. I don't know. I think you could look at Michael Porter as a nice to have. You know what I mean? His injury history kind of scares me as well. But I don't know how you move on from someone like that. Still pretty young. Be very curious to see what his stats have been like in the playoffs so far. Hang on one second. I am really appreciating the whole screen share thing right now because, or the ability to screen share. Hang on. This is great because I don't have to like screenshot things and then bring them back into the screen, which is great. So I mean, in terms of win shares, just on the year, he had fewer win shares than Scotty Barnes, and he's making a max contract. So from that perspective, you could definitely say like, hey, like his impact is not really adding up to what you're paying him. But then the other side of it is he's 24 years old. He's definitely on the upswing, and he's one of the best shooters in the NBA. And I don't think that this is a guy that you necessarily look at and just say like, okay, well, I don't think this is a guy you can look at and just hold it in a vacuum. Do you know what I mean? Like he's had a lot of injuries. Like I think you can probably say 62 games is the most he's ever played in his life, which is great. Now, in terms of advance in the playoffs, let's just check it out. Let's see how he's doing so far. I mean, a 0 box plus minus, that's not great, right? I mean, these are like role player numbers, man. Like a 13.6 PER, 55% true shooting. Like this is, yeah, you can make a very solid case that he has massively underperformed. I just think like sometimes you just have to look at the talent and just say like, okay, we get it, 6'10" shooter, all the potential in the world, but it hasn't quite summed up. But you do win a championship with a guy. In terms of a PR thing, it becomes really hard to break up a championship core because your fans sort of start to feel like you're cheaping out or whatever. But yeah, you could replace his production so easily. I mean, like you gotta ask yourself right now. I mean, hypothetically, if you swap Michael Porter Jr. with OG Anunoby, are the Nuggets a better team? 100% they are. I mean, yeah, they give up 1 year in terms of age, right? The discrepancy, but they'd be the better team. Um, I think Michael Porter is like the type of guy who just has to take like a really high volume of shots to be effective. I wonder, I do wonder if this is one of those change of scenario type of guys where you put him in another situation and he's suddenly like a 25, 26 point per game guy on like really solid splits. Like, I don't know if that's the case. You can make a case that it's just not mentally, like he's not there. Could also make a case that, he's had to battle like crazy uphill in terms of just getting back to being able to play basketball after 3 back surgeries. So I don't know. I don't have I don't have a solid answer for you in terms of whether they should move on from him. I just think that he is a perfect third guy. Like in terms of his skill set, it's a really great skill set to have, like someone who can just coast in the corner, and he's gotten better defensively. I just think I think you could replace the value you're getting from him with like a $16 million a year guy. So in this case, you're paying like a $20 million premium for youth, upside, potential, and I don't know, a massive injury risk. That's probably how I would see that. Um, I'm curious to see like where the Nuggets are in terms of just everything. Um, They might already have his replacement on the team. I mean, if they see someone like Christian Brown taking a step up at some point, I mean, that could be a really interesting fit. Um, let's check this out for a sec. So in terms of their box plus minus leaders on this, like no surprise here. And in terms of EPM, I think this was exactly the same order as well. He's their fourth most important player in terms of box plus minus, not even close. Um, I don't know. I mean, like, I really, last year at the draft, I was really high on their last pick, which was, their last first round pick. I think he was picked 29th and 30th, which is Peyton Watson. I was really high on him. Now, granted, he's not really a great shooter, and he's not really much of an offensive player. He's more like a defensive tool chest of 6'7", all potential, all hops. But if you could even bridge that entire position by committee, you look at someone like Vlatko Konchar, like him, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, like could you by committee deal with it? I think you could be fine. I think you could be fine, to be honest. Yeah. Um, Yikes. Yeah, that could be it. I haven't heard anything about that. To be honest, I've not been too plugged into that stuff, but yeah. Um, Anyways, guys, I mean, we are 1 game away. I genuinely felt like the refs would do everything in their power to kind of try to push this towards extending the series a little bit, but there's just only so much you can do. If this series is over on Monday, that'll be interesting because it'll give us like a solid week and a bit before the NBA draft, which takes place on June 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. It's June 22nd or June 23rd. I don't know. There's a lot of thoughts bubbling in my head. One of the thoughts that I think has just not been talked about at all is, do the Raptors trade the 13th pick? I know I just said it out loud, and I'm just like, come on, man. There's no way they're going to do that. But I also thought there was no way they're going to trade for Jakob Poeltl, and then they did. So I don't know. I really hope not. Obviously, I really hope not. Reports surfaced today that Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. are for sure gone. I don't believe that at all. But if they were both gone, like I really, really have a lot of questions. Like, we're gonna have a lot of questions for Masai Ujiri if both those guys walk for nothing, because there certainly were offers on the table at the trade deadline. You just, I mean, from a PR perspective, you just can't afford to lose those guys for nothing. Also, like, word on um, word on is, hold on, sorry, what am I trying to say here? Potentially Sergio Scariolo being the being the guy in the lead for this job. Um, but it could be announced after the draft, or it could be announced like right before the draft. I don't know, man. I really would want a coach in place sooner than that. But there's a lot of like buzz now about, like, yesterday I did I guess today I did a 5 a.m. live in which I commended the Raptors for taking, their time to do the due diligence and just really genuinely leave no stone unturned, right? To have this sort of methodical approach to like interviewing everybody that they need to interview, exploring all the ideas, exploring all the avenues. And I really like that. And I think that's a good thing. But there's some really solid points being made about, like, hey man, like, there's like 5 teams that had openings and they've all filled them. And at some point you're gonna have to sit there and realize that assistant coaches are going to get run up too, right? Like, you are going to start losing assistant coaches. Like, if you wanted Patrick Mutombo, well, now he's gone, right? I don't know if you wanted Patrick Mutombo on this staff. Obviously, he would have had a relationship with Sergio Scariolo, but now he's on Adrian Griffin's staff, right? So, rumor had it that Nick Nurse would want Rico Hines. Yo, take him by all means, please take him. But I don't understand that rumor at all, because everything I heard was, that they weren't exactly seeing eye to eye. But that would be interesting if that ends up being the case. Yeah, this really does feel like an end of a chapter for the Raptors, doesn't it? It really does. But it has been very, very interesting to watch these playoffs and just to see how other teams play just after a year of really focusing more on the Raptors than any other team, and just sort of realizing, shit, like, I don't see another team playing like this. Not in the playoffs anyway. Like, there's so many times where Jamal Murray, I think, like, I could count, like, tonight, I think maybe there was like 4 or 5 shots where I'm like, it wasn't a great shot, right? I think one of them was from Jokic, like 2 of them from Jamal Murray. I think one of them was from like Aaron Gordon. Like, there just wasn't a lot of that going on, right? There wasn't a lot of heat check moments. There weren't a lot of bet on yourself moments, right? They just play a more solid style of basketball, right? Um, Yes, people keep thinking that, and I think that, the correlation is not causation element, comes into play here. Like, there's a multitude of reasons why they could be waiting. Um, their own team direction, right? It could be, a hang up in terms of like, hey, David Adelman or Sergio Scariolo or Jordi Fernandez want to coach this team if this happens, but don't want to coach this team if this happens. I have no idea. Um, but it also could be, they genuinely don't know. I guess it would be a little bit troubling if after almost 2 months they don't know. Like, that would be weird, right? Because they dismissed Nick Nurse like quite a while ago now. How Denver is playing, that's how I envisioned for the Raptors the past season. Yeah. But the Denver Nuggets have 2 things that the Raptors do not have. They have one, they have a guard who can get into the paint at will, in Jamal Murray, right? And you've seen like how this entire thing has sort of fallen apart when he's not playing, right? That's so important. That second guy who can do that is so important. The other thing they have is a super duper star in Nikola Jokic, and you don't have anything close to that. Not in Pascal Siakam, not in Scotty Barnes right now. So one thing I will say is that from this perspective of culture setting, like, when I see how infectious passing is in Denver, it does remind me a lot of what Scotty could bring to the Toronto Raptors. you know, like, when your top guy is so unselfish, everyone just falls into line. I've always seen it happen that way, right? And they become better passers because they start looking for passes. They start making passes. Like, there was a beautiful pass tonight where I think it was KCP or Bruce Brown. They threw this like amazing cross court alley oop to Aaron Gordon, and I was just like, wow, like that's a great pass. That's a Jokic pass, and you're just seeing it. Like you're seeing it across the board. It's infectious. Like you see guys making the extra pass. You see guys playing together. You see guys who are just and I mean, to be honest, you don't do it, you get yelled at. It's just how it is. Like in Denver, if you don't make the right pass, if you start being a bonehead, you don't play, and that's beautiful. Like I want a coach that holds the team to that standard. Where if you take a couple of those dumbass heat check moments that prompt me to do low light films, well, you don't play regardless of what your name is, whether your name is Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, or Scotty Barnes, you just get benched. And I mean, I think that would immediately clarify so many of the chemistry issues because it would create fairness. It would create fairness and coherence. You know what I mean? And then people would understand, like, okay, this is the expectation. This is what's happening here. There's not like one rule for one group of guys and another rule for like another group of guys, right? If you miss 2 rotations in a row, like, I mean, I look at, how Eric Spoelstra coaches, right? I think both teams, regardless of the fact that the Nuggets are definitely going to win this series, I think you could look at both of these teams as great shining examples for the Raptors to follow. I mean, there is a really deep-seated culture in both teams. And you look at the accountability the Miami Heat have. When a rotation is missed, Eric Spoelstra is into their guys. It doesn't matter if it's Jimmy Butler. It doesn't matter if it's Bam Adebayo. It doesn't matter if it's one of his veterans like Kyle Lowry or Kevin Love. Like they're all accountable. And that's great. That's great to watch. That's what I hope for the Raptors going into next season. Anyways, guys, if you are new around here, absolutely hit subscribe. If you are not new around here, don't hit subscribe, but stay subscribed. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that. We start getting more into the draft stuff. I apologize. Like there's a lot going on right now. I'm just trying to sort myself out here. But yeah, like we got some big goals for this year for sure. We want to start getting into more of the draft videos. I apologize, man. Like I had a much different idea for how prolific, let's put it, the content creation was going to be. I was like all amped up when the season ended. I'm like, yo, bet, like let's do this. You know what I mean? But I gotta be honest, like I just felt so zapped after Penn Dance. Like I thought I wasn't gonna feel zapped after Penn Dance, but I am. Like I was tired. Like I was sleeping like 13 hours, like 12 hours. I was just like, oh my God, like man, apparently like I'm human. You know what I mean? So yeah, but hopefully it's all setting up for something better. I'm glad you're optimistic about next season. I am optimistic, of course, man. The bad man is gone. I'm just kidding. He's not a bad man, obviously. But I just something about Nick Nurse just for most of the second half of the season just rubbed me the wrong way. And I just felt like he was enabling all the shitty behavior and all of the shitty things that I hated about this team all last year. And it was just baffling to see guys sitting at the end of the bench who could clearly see it, see me who could clearly see it. We have see so many of you guys who can clearly see it. We discussed it ad nauseum, and then have a coach come to the podium every single night and then just say, nope, not happening. It just felt like getting gaslit for like 4 months straight. And I just really hated it. And I'm just happy that whoever is coaching this team, hopefully that's not going to happen next year. That just, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can consider this entire playoff series or entire playoff season a triumph for playing teams, right? I mean, you have the Lakers who make it all the way, to the Western Conference Finals, and then you have, the Miami Heat who make it all the way to the finals, and they're both playing teams. So 2 of the final 4 teams were playing teams, and the other 2 were 2 of the top 5 teams in the league, and it's like, there is increased parity in the league for sure. And I think this is going to make for one of the most interesting off seasons. There's so much player turnover that I'm expecting this year. There's so many guys who I expect to switch hats or on draft night or, to be in a different situation. And I'm just really hoping that the Raptors come out of this whole shuffle with some better pieces and some pieces that fit a little bit better. Because I think we discussed it yesterday and I was like, hey, man, like I think, or earlier today, where I was like, hey, like the top 7 guys on the Raptors would all get rotation minutes on both these teams, whether it's Jakob, whether it's Gary, whether it's, OG, Scotty, Pascal, Fred, like all these guys would get minutes on these teams. But it's like, just because you have 7 rotation players who would all play minutes on a finals team does not mean that you have a star, the right star or the right superstar. And it doesn't mean that those pieces fit together. So I think that, there's definitely going to be some work that needs to be done there. But I'm really looking forward to it. There's only so many times that I can say it, but yeah. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. We are definitely doing the draft live. You're going to see me have an aneurysm on air if we pass up on Case and Wallace. Reportedly, he has a promise in the lottery. It is either from the Washington Wizards or the Toronto Raptors. I mean, God, the Washington Wizards would be so stupid to pass up on him. But man, if they do, I hope we don't. As much as I am very high on the Bilal Coulibaly, I have drank the Kool-Aid on Coulibaly. Am I the first person to say that? The Kool-Aid on Coulibaly? That has a ring to it. I have definitely drank the Kool-Aid on him. I would not take him over Case and Wallace, bro. Like, Case and Wallace to me is like there are tiers in this draft. There's like a tier 1, which is clearly like Victor Wembanyama. There's tier 2, which is like basically Scoot Henderson by himself. There's like a tier 3, right? Which is like every single person underneath that up until about 7, 8. And I think Kaysen is in that group. Emin Thompson, Azar Thompson, Black, Wallace, maybe one other guy, Brandon Miller. Like, I think that's, you make a case for Cam Whitmore. So like, I think that group, it's like it's bunched together. And I just have this feeling that one of these guys is going to fall out of that group because someone climbs into the thing and someone gets like really excited about that player or whatever. Someone like measures really well. Yo, it's Vince. Vince, what up, man?
Yo, what's going on?
Not so much. What's going on with you?
I just flipped on right now, saw that you were doing your thing, and heard that you were talking drafts. So my ears perked up. Maybe my ears
Nice.
were ringing.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad. No one called in today. I was feeling like really sad. I was like, I didn't even announce it. I was just like, I didn't even say like the call in link is there, but I'm glad you called in.
Oh, it's always there, bro.
Yeah. What's going on? Like, first of all, did you watch the game?
Yeah, I watched it tonight. It was I'm not gonna say a beat down, but it was almost like slow, like suffocating, like when you see somebody suffocate someone in a movie. It was just sort of like a slow suffocation. Like there was no back down. There was the crowd was really trying to get hyped and get into it. They made their little pushes here and there. They got it within like I think 5. Jimmy hit a free throw to put it within 5 points
Right.
in the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, maybe
Mm-hmm.
when Jokic got called for that ridiculous fifth foul on Bam.
Yeah.
And then from there they just like that was just a professional basketball team, like a professional high end basketball team knowing what to do to close it out. It was a good game.
Were you at all worried when Nikola Jokic twisted his foot?
Like a little.
The high
I
pitched
didn't.
squeal says it all.
Yeah, yeah, I was for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime it probably just as nervous as Miami fans would have been if they saw Jimmy do it, right?
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I just, it would suck to watch a team back-to-back series kind of win on an injury. I just like, I know it happens every year,
Yeah,
but or not every year, but like, yeah, injuries are always going to play a part in sports. It would just suck to watch, like, because I think that would always kind of add an asterisk to whatever title Miami wins, and it's almost
of
like no
course.
one wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when that happens, it's like no one wins because it's like, yeah,
Well,
Miami won the championship, but Nikola Jokic got injured, and if he hadn't gotten
yeah,
injured, it's the same thing as the Kevin Durant got injured in the Raptors
yeah,
series, etc. So I
yeah,
just want to see this team, just win. I mean, Miami's won plenty of championships. I think it's nice for the Nuggets to get one. It's kind of like Colorado is awesome, Denver is awesome, obviously, like really great city, but it feels like a smaller market team.
yeah. Yeah,
Like
it's a rite of passage for them. They've never been. I believe they've never even been to the finals. Is that right?
correct.
Yeah,
And
that's like
I think they've been a
great for them.
franchise for like 40, 45 years, 47 years.
Holy shit! Seriously?
Yeah,
I fuck, I guess like yeah, my whole life. So and I'm just shy of that. So yeah,
they were
that's
founded in 1967.
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah,
good
that's
for them.
crazy. They're 20
Who
years older
knew
than
that?
me. So
What's oh they're 20. Wow,
that's crazy.
that's so
That's
crazy.
so
And
45 years.
who would have thought it would be on the back of like at overweight Serbian teenager,
He is not overweight.
or no, when he came into the league, I
When he
think
was a
he was.
teenager, he was, yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. When he was, I mean, there's that, yeah, that famous
Yeah.
meme photo of him.
Yeah,
Um,
he used to drink I don't know if you know this, he used to drink like a 2 liters of pop every single day, 2 liters of Coca-Cola every single day. The fact that Coca-Cola has not sponsored him right now is just, I mean,
right.
it's criminally insane. They should definitely do it. Be like, hey, drink 2 liters of Coca-Cola, and if you don't develop diabetes and you don't die first, you could become an MVP.
Yeah.
Um, so what are your thoughts on the draft? Have they changed at all since we did our mock board? Have you had some
Well,
time to watch more stuff, absorb more mock drafts? There's so much shit coming out every single day. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I've watched a few more. Like I don't go back and like watch full games of which if you're doing thorough research, you should do or whatever. But you know, I've
Yeah.
been watching the same stuff, like the Spinella videos and um, just aggregating what
What do you think
many
about
of the
Kaysen falling to 13 on his last? I think it was 13 or 14 on his last mock.
I don't think that's going to happen. There's too many smart. There's too many smart. Like case in falling that low would be it would be a repeat of like Halliburton. Not to say that Kaysen has the same kind of upside as Halliburton, but like when Halliburton fell to what 11th, something like that.
Yeah.
What's his name? Donovan Mitchell fell to what 12, 13, something like
13.
that.
13.
Right.
But
Hey
again,
man, maybe I'm
it's
talking
always,
myself into it happening.
I
Yes.
mean, it's the
Devin Booker.
measurables, right? Like it's the measurables. Like when Donovan Mitchell measured out, right? Like there were reports that he was 6'3", right? And then he
Hmm.
measures out and he's like 6'1" or 6
Mm,
foot 6'1", and then people get
hmm.
spooked. People get spooked about it, right? And it's like it takes a little bit of vision to be able to see past that. I think, I think a lot of people just kind of like you look at a lot of the GMs around the league, they're around 6'2", right? Maybe there's like a artificial little line in the sand where they're just like, I'm not comfortable drafting someone who's shorter than
So
me
much fun. Yeah, sure.
to play professional basketball. There is still this like very old school thinking when it comes to like vertical tests, etc. And I just think like, we're watching a guy who would fail every single vertical test on the planet,
Yeah.
dominate a guy who is a super athlete in Bam Adebayo. Like Bam Adebayo is a phenomenal freak athlete,
Yeah.
and he can't do shit against Nikola Jokic.
Right.
Just can't.
Yeah. The one thing that like the one thing that I feel like doesn't get too talked about with Jokic though is the fact that like it still is advantageous if you're big, right? Like if you're big and have, we'll say, like a baseline amount of quickness, which he does have, and I feel like he doesn't get a lot of he doesn't get a lot of praise for the fact that he's like for his size is pretty nimble on his feet. He kind of always knows where to be. Might sort of get there late sometimes. Always knows where to be and has fucking amazing hands.
We
Just
talked about
what's
it ad nauseum today in today's video already. Yeah, like we broke it down
oh,
where it's like people really don't give him enough credit for the type of defender that he is.
right.
But he's a very disruptive defender, and I think he did it like a lot of times tonight where there was somebody who has an advantage and it just goes away because he tips the ball out of bounds or he kicks it or something, and it's the small things. And yeah, that's kind of like why I cringe when people try to compare him to Domantas Sabonis or Alperen Şengün. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because those guys just don't have his reach.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
his
No.
reach is what makes the difference. Like he has a 9'3" standing reach. He has these really high
Right.
shoulders and these really broad shoulders, right? So he's a 7'3" ish wingspan and a 9'2", 9'3" standing reach. That
Right.
9'3" standing reach is exactly what gives him all those tools and all that advantage. So yeah, if Alperen Şengün could grow his wingspan by like 4 inches, and I know that it's such an arbitrary thing. What's 4 inches in the NBA?
Right.
It's everything. It's
Yeah.
everything. It's the difference between getting the ball and not getting the ball. You
Right.
know?
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing is that like since when does like being an amazing rebounder not count as you being a good defender? How many times, even in just in the series, like but all like I've watched him do it all season. Does he get these like little tip balls where he like sort of tips it direction tips it to himself or to someone else? Like
Yeah,
he's
I don't
fucking
know if
amazing at that.
do you watch MDJ, the YouTube channel MDJ? So he had
Uh,
this great video on Jokic's athleticism, and he talks about hand-eye coordination a lot in that. And he just says, like this is such an amazing thing, like all these tip balls and being able to touch the ball like when it's kind of in his vicinity. This is all hand-eye coordination, and this
yeah,
also comes down to like the passing stuff, right? So when you look at someone like Steve Nash, Magic Johnson, etc., they have such great hand-eye coordination. But in terms of the draft, like who's climbing up and who's falling down? Like, give me that. Who were you like? Let's say 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago, we talked. It's been about 2 weeks since we did that thing. Who were you
right.
higher on then, and who's kind of fallen and who's kind of rising for you? Because there's a lot of Nick Smith rumors starting up right now.
Yeah, I don't know. So the guys like Nick Smith and Keontae Jordan, guys like that, like anyone who was like really low efficiency in college,
Mhm.
obviously, like I don't know. I think there are reports that like one or both of them were like kind of playing injured throughout the season. So
They
obviously,
were they were both like Keontae
okay.
towards the end, the Nick Smith towards like pretty much the whole way through. Like he's just kind of
So
never was
right.
healthy. But
So
there's a
Keontae
big
Jordan,
difference in terms of their efficiency because Keontae was like still like a really positive player.
right.
Smith
So
wasn't.
right. So what like I guess the question is like if neither of those guys suffers those injuries, like does their efficiency shoot way up and does that now change our slant our view of who they are as players? I'm nervous for anyone who has Fred Van Vliet looking numbers. I know those guys aren't the same as Fred, and they can't be the same kind of floor general that he is, and that sort of thing. But
Right.
like low efficiency, high volume shooters, always kind of irk me, especially when they're not like known as defensive players. I'm not down on them. One guy I'm like higher on just for the sheer fact that I hadn't really like looked into him as much and just did a little research and a little digging on is not that he's going to be a superstar, but like a super supreme high end role player. I think he might be is Taylor Hendricks.
Okay.
That dude looks like for if that guy can guard as a four and he can guard a little up and a little down, like I feel like that guy is going to be a seriously high end role player, like similar to I don't know, not I shouldn't say similar to Aaron Gordon, but just like the way Aaron Gordon is proving himself to be the highest end role player in these playoffs. I feel like he
Right.
could be that. Just like a guy who's got that kind of length, who could play small ball five more than likely, hit threes, hyper athletic, and can kind of guard. Like if he can hang with guards and smaller quicker wings, man, that's
Right.
that's like an invaluable guy to have on your team. And all signs point to Indiana picking this guy up. And if they do, I'm gonna love the shit out of Indiana's team because they have all the makings of like all. I love all the players on their team.
Yeah, no, I'm totally for it, and I think that's like the ideal spot for him. This is Nick Smith's Arkansas season in a nutshell. So per 100 possessions, he's 27 points per game on 26 shots per game. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Shooting
Wow.
37.6% from the field, 33.8% from three, 74% from the line, which I mean, like, is really low when you consider it. Negative defensive box plus minus. You know, he didn't even manage a single win share on the season. I mean, and this is college.
Wow.
So granted, you know, you can say small sample size, right? It's like only 17 games, right? That's a really small sample size. And if you believe he's like better than that, then, you know, you probably could make a case, like, you know, and say like, well, you know, we're going to trust a larger sample size. And it's not like Shaden Sharp had like some massive body of college where he didn't play a single game in college. So basically, if he had just done what Shaden had done, he'd probably be a top 10 pick right now. So playing actually hurt his stock, if anything else, because he was just about as highly touted as Shaden Sharp coming out. And he's a 6'5" point guard. I just don't think that he really showed like necessarily the on-ball creation that you would have wanted from him, you know, to kind of cross-reference this against Keontae's numbers, right? Anyone who's curious, sorry about all the ads popping up. My God. I mean, right? This is a vast difference. Granted, you know, 33 games versus 17 games, but still, you know, you got a 5.6 box plus minus, at least have 3 win shares. The percentages are not great either, but they're not like anywhere near as bad. 30, almost 32 points on 26 shots attempted. So it's not quite as bad. The field goal percentage is just as bad. 3-point percentage is just as bad, but he just got to the line way more.
Right.
That's really a difference.
Can you go back down to his effective field goal and true shooting? Where was that?
It's right around the same as Nick Smith, man.
Can you oh, because okay, so his true shooting was 52, effective field goal 47. And that's in college. Can you bring up Kobe Buckton?
Yeah, Kobe was amazing. So let me just check out.
I mean,
Kobe was super efficient. But then also, like, you have to understand, like, he was also like a year old. Like, he's not really a year older than these guys. He's actually pretty young for a sophomore, but still, he is like 1 year more experienced. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay. Fair.
But I mean, like, so, you know, the growth for him was incredible. Like, if you consider, like, just from that perspective, like from 1 year to the next, like, look at the per 100 numbers. Like, that's insane growth. Like, it's almost like clockwork across the board.
Wow. You know what I mean? He went up 10% for 38 to 48% field goal.
And I mean, like, and he upped his true shooting percentage by 10%. Like, he went from 47.5 true shooting all the way up to, you know, 57.8. Like, that's insane.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I mean, granted, like, most of this damage was done in a really hot shooting stretch, like for about 6 weeks. So like, during that 6-week stretch, he was like one of the best players in college basketball. But not on those 6 weeks, he was still a much better player than he was the previous year. So I think we're just seeing like you could look at Kobe Buffkin, you could see like step 1, freshman season, step 2, first half of this season, step 3, second half of this season.
Right.
Like, he just got better and better and better. So it's like, if you're a team that's looking at him like top 9, I totally get it.
Right. I mean, to me, I feel like he's the only like kind of realistic target. Like, I don't think Wallace is going to fall to us.
I mean, look at the box plus minus. Just look at that.
What am I looking at here?
Look at the furthest right column.
Yeah, 6.7. That's crazy.
Dude, look at the previous year.
Yeah, wow.
He upped his box plus minus by 10 times.
Well, I mean, look, he didn't start
1,000% increase, bro. Right. I mean, granted, okay, fine. Like, he played 5 times as many minutes.
Right.
But he gave you 10 times as much impact.
Yeah. Right? No, to me, this is the guy. To me, this is the guy.
4 times as many minutes, 10 times the impact. Yeah, like I think like his pairing with Scotty would just work so well. I do just want to show everyone Cason Wallace's just like for a comp, because we've been seeing all these guards. We can also look at Anthony Black's really quickly. But yeah, like, I mean, for Cason, it was just on a lower volume. I don't necessarily think he was like some super effective guy. He didn't get to the line anywhere near as much as Keontae George, which is why, like, you know, he's attempting 18 field goal attempts per per 100 possessions and only generating 22 points. So he wasn't anywhere near as prolific a scorer, but those 3.7 steals per 100 possessions look freaking brilliant. In terms of his shooting, I think he started the season out above 40%. He ended it out like below 35%. I think he just hit a cold stretch. He did show like a lot more of that range, but look at the box plus minus. Like we're talking about like the growth from Kobe Buffkin. Like we have a 7.7 box plus minus here. Nearly 4 win shares. I just think like the analytics scream that Cason Wallace is like by far the best player in this bunch. And he did this as a freshman during a kind of like shaky season. Like I think that like if you play this season out for him, like he probably like this is like the worst possible outcome or one of the worst possible outcomes. Like I think he could have easily been like a 9 box plus minus type of guy. And those are top 5 picks in almost all cases. Like 9 box plus minus is like either a really, really, really solid polished senior or like a freshman who's a top 5 pick. So that's kind of like, I mean, that's kind of where I see him. And the idea that he could fall to 13 is kind of crazy to me. The other guy that I'm warming up on a little bit more, even though, like he has a little bit in common with Scotty Barnes, is Anthony Black. Like, I don't think that there's a chance in hell he's falling to us, but if he's there, I would have a very difficult time passing up on him. His pick and roll stuff is just, it's legit. Like he could, like what you could unlock having him and Scotty together. I understand that most people are going to look at it and say, well, neither one of these guys can shoot really well. I don't care. Surround them with like the 3 best shooters in the league and call it a day, because having 2 guys at 6'7" who can guard 1 through 4 and can do this many awesome things with the basketball, and his handle is further along than Scotty's. And I think his passing game is not that far behind Scotty's, and like his initiation ability, like to have a 6'7" point guard who can really break down the defense and actually get to the second line. Like I think he really could be like a game changer for somebody. And he's so smart. Like his just cerebral. Like, I mean, you're looking at 4.2 win shares, 6.7 box plus minus. And I mean, again, like, I mean, I just think he was, I don't think he had spacing at Arkansas. Like, I just feel like if you put him on a team with like 3 good shooters, like you put him on a team with like, I don't know, like let me just construct a random ass team for him, put Grady Dick on one side and put like Jordan Hawkins on the other side. This guy's averaging like 11 assists per game. So I just really like him a lot. We got FA coming on. FA, what's going on, man? What up? Hello.
All right. While he takes some time to figure that out. Okay, so let's assume that the first 4 picks are going to be, Vic, Scoot, Brandon Miller, and Amin Thompson, right? We don't know that for sure, but like let's just eliminate those 2. Like they're going to go at least in those 4 guys are going to be top 5, 6, minimum. Detroit doesn't need a point guard. Right, they would become crazy.
They definitely do, and they'd be so stupid. Okay, I understand what you're saying. They drafted 3 point guards in a row. I get what you're saying. If they see Kate as a point guard, Jaden as a point guard, then yes, they don't need a point guard. You're right. So you think they're going? Who? Cam Whitmore?
Yeah, like I think they'll go either Cam or like I think they want a wing. So I think they'll go. I don't think they'll go Hendricks. I think they'll go Cam Whitmore. Who else? What other wings are in here?
Azar Thompson.
Oh yeah, they might go Azar possibly. Right, like these kind of like I feel like they probably need a shooter. So hey, maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll go for like Maybe they'll go for a shooter. Maybe they'll go for like a Grady Dick or something like that. Probably not, but like I feel like Casey might go. I think Cam Whitmore is the guy that's going to go there.
I have a great exercise for us to do, and it's going to be awesome. We can do a draft. We're going to do the draft.
You know how much we love doing that.
Yeah, but this draft we can actually do like a real draft.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like I can do my screen share because
nice.
Yeah. Hold on. Lottery, first round, speed. Cool. Hang on, let's figure this out. If FA can come on, then we could do like a 1, 2, 3 type of thing, and I think that would make it way more interesting.
Right.
God damn it! Why can't I? What is going on here?
Well, while you do that, I'll think out loud and
Mm-hmm.
say Orlando, right? I mean, they've got, I don't know, say what you want. Like, is Cole Anthony a point guard? No, but he's a guard. They have, sorry, what's his name? Taking over Jason Tatum. My God, Colangelo traded for him. Had the yips years 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know who I'm talking about. Actually, his name is not coming to mind right now. Um, but they don't need a point guard. Indiana doesn't need a point guard. Washington and Utah are the only two teams that
You're
I
thinking
can
about Markel
see.
Fultz.
Markel Fultz, yes, he's the guy that I was thinking of in Orlando, right? So they've got Fultz, they've got Suggs, they've got Cole Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Though, those are, say what you will about them, but they're NBA players, right? That you would assume that they want to try and develop. I think Orlando might be a sneaky team for Bilal, possibly,
Mm-hmm.
if they're looking for like the length, if they want to continue with the length and high upside potential play that they've sort of gone for over the years.
Right.
Indiana, no point guard needed, and I like the only thing that would lead me like so. Indiana doesn't need a point guard, but they are a smart team, so they may be one of those teams to say, well, if we feel that Casey Wallace or Anthony Black are the two best players on the board, and we're not going to just try to draft for fit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they end up taking, but like I think Indiana's probably going to take Taylor Hendricks, right? Washington and Utah, I could see them taking point guards. Dallas,
But now we can actually do the draft, so we don't have to talk about it. We can
okay.
actually do it. We can actually legitimately do it. So, FA, can you hear us? FA, you there? Yo, man, you're killing me. Okay. FA is.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. What's going on with you?
Okay,
you have a stable internet connection? Let's
yes,
do
I
an
do.
impromptu draft. I'll give you 25 to 30 seconds to explain it, unless you're doing something crazy like drafting Cam Whitmore number 3, in which case you're gonna need like 3 minutes to explain it. But let's just do it. Let's go round robin. We'll do number 1, number 2, number 3, and then whoever does number 3 has the 4th pick as well, and then we snake. Cool?
Sure. Who got number 1?
Yeah. Who gets number 1? Okay. You know what? How about we leave it to the chat to decide who gets number 1. Number 1. Who's getting a number 1 pick, guys?
I don't want number 1.
Oh, you don't want number 1. So it's between me and
No,
FA.
because it's too easy.
It's too easy. Well, I mean, number 1's going to get number 6, right? So chat, whoever you say is going to be me or FA getting number 1. Okay, Sir Cat's saying Rob gets number 1. All right. Well, I mean, it's a little bit rigged because, Pensar basketball is my thing, but all right, cool. All right. And I mean, I'm sorry to surprise you, but with the number 1 pick, I'm absolutely going to draft Bilal Coulibaly.
No.
Okay, with the first overall pick, I obviously pick Victor Wembanyama. Absolutely no notes needed here, no explanations needed here. We're just going to move on to the number 2 pick, which is going to go to, we did not decide who's going to go number 2. So I'm going to decide who's going to number 2. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Whoever's closer gets number 2. And go. Vince?
2.
FA?
Uh-oh.
FA, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm waiting for Vince to go.
Oh, I said
I'm here.
2.
You want me to go?
I picked 2.
Oh, he picked the number 2.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I picked the number 2.
No. What number you pick between 1 and 10?
5.
5? Okay, you win because I was thinking 7. Andre Lindo saying, "Can I pick fourth? If you want to come on, you can definitely pick fourth. Yeah, that's no problem, man. But you got to call in. You got to use the link. All right. And okay, so with the number 2 pick, FA is on the board. Who you picking, man?
All right, with the number 2 pick,
For
I'm
your
going.
Charlotte Hornets. Oh my
Oh my!
God, this is your
And
home. That's your home.
the funniest thing is that I started a new job in Charlotte this week, so but I still live in Wake Forest. So with the number 2 pick, I'm gonna go with Brandon Miller.
Come
What?
on.
No,
Wow.
you fucked it all up, man. You
No,
fucked up the
and
whole draft. All right, okay,
That's
fine. We're
crazy.
gonna let you do this, even though I
I
think
got.
it's criminally insane. Please explain to me why you picking Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson.
I know for the first half of the season was shooting 40% from the tree. I see him like a Paul George kind of player, and have been following him for years because he went to the same high school. He was in the same high school district with my sons when they were in Tennessee, and
Mhm.
they watched him growing up. They've always been telling, even when he was like ranked number 9 in the country, then they kept telling me that this guy is going to be a top 3 pick, that they've watched him, that he's super talented. So I've been watching his high school videos. So I see him like the next Paul George kind of player. I know his jump shot is low release, but he's a 40% shooter at the first half, then dropped to 38. And
I
since
would be
I
more
want,
worried about his mental makeup. I would definitely be more worried about
I know
his
what
paint
happened. I
finishing,
know what
a lot
happened
of
with
that stuff. But
no,
hey, man, I mean, like, whatever. We're splitting hairs. Also, Andre, you got a lot of background noise coming on your back, so I'm gonna ask that you mute your mic when you're not talking. Number 3 pick, all good. All good. Okay. Vince, number 3, the most obvious pick since Victor Wembanyama went number 1. Who we going?
Can I make trades too?
You, I believe
I'm
you
gonna,
can. We can make trades. Actually, yes.
okay.
I have no
I'm
idea.
drafting Scoot Henderson. I'm trading him with Anthony Simons, the Toronto Raptors, for
Oh,
Pascal Siakam.
don't do this.
and
Okay.
you're right. That was one of the reasons why I also picked Brandon so that we can trade Scoot to Toronto.
Okay. In all honesty, even if Brandon Miller's here and they're willing to do that trade, I still do it for Brandon Miller. I think Brandon Miller is going to be a nice player.
Okay, I'm gonna try to trade the pick. I really hope this does not completely screw everything up, but let's just try it.
We got time.
All right.
This is 100% like just what I want to happen and not what I think is actually going to happen.
Wait a second. Is this going to make me trade number 3 for number 13, or is this going to make me trade number 3 for the Toronto Raptors?
I don't know. Let's just do the draft. Let's just do the draft.
Let's go with the
and
pick.
talk about
We
trades
can do the
after.
trade later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, they make you trade picks.
That's not cool. Okay, Fanspo, you need to fix that shit. All right, number 3. Who you picking?
Okay, so I'm going to be going with Scoot.
All right. Thank you for not losing your mind there. And what do you like about Scoot Henderson, other than the fact that he was your number 2 pick in the last 3 years?
That's right.
What do you like about him for the Portland Trail Blazers? And I mean, granted, there's been a lot of talk about them trading this pick, but do you think him and Damian Lillard could actually play together?
I mean, I think they could play together, but I just don't think it's going to be an optimal fit. I think that Miller makes more sense with Dame. In the same way that I think LaMelo makes more sense with Dame. Although at least with LaMelo, you have that element of like, okay, let's grab and go, let's run and gun every possession,
right?
And whoever grabs the ball, you pitch it ahead, or you start running yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm as a Dame fan, I do hope they kind of trade it because, like, while I think that maybe long term them keeping Scoot is the better play, as a Dame fan, I want to see Dame win. And if these playoffs should go as proof that all you need is 2 you need one elite superstar and then another Robin, like very good number two option, and then really good supporting cast. And I think that even if they were to make the trade for whether it be Siakam, whether it be maybe not Carl Towns because he's a little bit of a wussy, but and kind of dumb. But like let's say Pascal.
He's a wussy and dumb. You know what I realized? Like when Nikola Jokic hurt his ankle today, I'm like, great. He's Karl Anthony Towns with better passing right now. That's basically what it was. He just parked his ass out at like 35 feet and started taking jump shots.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think that, you know, defensively, it's not like an optimal fit, and both those players really do operate best with the ball in their hands. But I think Scoot's actually a pretty good off-ball player anyways. Andre, you're on the clock for number 4, man. Who are you picking?
Okay, so because I'm Houston, right? So for me, Mark, like I would want to take Anthony Black here. Yeah, I think he is.
I like it.
I think
like it
he
too.
would fit with that team. Him and Jalen Green in the backcourt. He's more posed and a little bit more calmer, and he'd probably kind of calm down that team.
This has shades of Scotty Barnes all over again, going number 4, like rising up the draft board. It's like history repeating itself here. I fully agree with you. I think there's a lot of reasons to do this. If they're smart, they'll do it. They're not that smart, so they probably won't. I've noticed certain teams, they have a trend, right? So for instance, the Warriors, they always draft guys who have really good high school careers. So if the Warriors have a chance this year, they're definitely selecting Nick Smith Jr. or Keontae George or someone like that. When I look at the Houston Rockets, they always go with the mock. That to me is like whatever the mock draft says, like the best player available, that tends to be who they're going to go for. Yeah. So given that, I don't think they're going to take a risk and take Anthony Black because they've always kind of gone with the consensus mock draft guy. The biggest name available per the mock drafts, per the consensus. Yeah. And yeah, they've just always struck me as a team that's just trying to win the moment as opposed to like win the battle. You know what I mean? But so I think in this case, they'd be smarter off hiring you to make this pick for them. Than
no, I'm not that smart. But I just like the way he plays.
Me too.
Like his hesitation, just even the way he handles the ball. And I just see how out of control Jalen Green can be sometimes. And I feel like having a point guard that size, especially defensively with his length, would help. It would help Jalen a lot, and then get the ball to what was the guy they drafted last year? The big
last year, Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah, I think
he's more like
he
a
would
wing,
work.
but I really love this combination of Anthony Black, Alperen Şengün, and Jabari Smith. Like those three players are like three of my favorite players. I can even ignore the fact that I don't really like Jalen Green, and it's almost like the good starting to outweigh the bad with that team. I also like Usman Garuba still. So, I mean, I think this is a really good pick for them. Now, who are you picking for the 5th team? Because it's a snake draft, so you take the 5th pick as well. Who you got for the Detroit Pistons?
Oh, you have to go Thompson for sure. I saw Thompson. Like you have to. Yeah, I think the reason why you have to pick best available, and I feel you go with him. He would fit very well in Detroit
with Cade and Jaden Ivey, and they got a glut of, like, the way I see it, they got a glut of point guards and got a glut of centers. They don't have anything else in the middle. Killian Hayes is kind of a guard. Cade needs the ball. Jaden Ivey needs the ball. None of these guys can shoot that well, right?
So then you would have to move this pick then. Because you're not going to go and pick
Grady Dick.
Yeah,
it's too early for Grady Dick territory.
It's way too early. Like if you can pick down like a guy that would fit nicely, would probably, like you said, Grady Dick, or even what's his name?
Jordan Hawkins.
Yeah. So oh snap, that would be really good too. Because they need
the 5th pick. They'd be crazy.
They have to trade it out, man, because it's like
what about Jarris Walker or Taylor Hendricks? You don't see it. Like, I mean, look, man, like you have a glut of bigs. Sure, I get
So
that.
you go
But-
Jarris Walker. And
Okay,
then,
but for real, like I'm gonna ask you a serious question.
Yeah.
Which of those bigs do you really like on that team? Because I don't like any of them. Marvin Bagley, I like Jalen Duren. I like Jalen Duren. That's the only big I like on their whole team.
well, they're trying to win now, right? They're
That's
trying
crazy
win
to
now.
me.
And I know people don't like him, but the guy that he got from Golden State, I think he's actually a good player, and I think he could strive.
What do you like about James Wiseman, man?
Oh,
Negative 1.79 LeBron. That's crazy.
I think he got a bad rap in Orlando and in Golden State. I think he has good touch around the rim. He can rebound. I think if he was drafted by a different team, it would have been a different thing for him. He had to play now. He had to be ready now, and he wasn't ready. Bigs take 3-4 years to develop. So I think he would be in a good position with that Detroit team.
I mean,
with Cade and stuff
Jalen
like that.
Duren was 18 years old last year. He was better than him by far. Far.
But then you're like he's just talented, right? I kind of feel like there's players that take some time. Bosch took time. Everyone takes a little bit of
Bosch
some
was
bigs.
really good as a rookie, man. Like, I mean, even like in his second year, they were handing the franchise over to him when they traded Carter. I don't like, I think with James Wiseman, there's like that process. Like, it's so funny to me that you were the guy who picked Anthony Black, because I mean, Anthony Black and James Wiseman are like the two most like dissimilar players in the history of the universe. Like,
but with Asor, you can't have enough wings, man. Like I
all right, so you picking Asur Thompson here?
Yeah,
all right,
for sure. Yeah.
All right, we're going FA number 6 for the Orlando Magic. You're just covering up all the southern states right now. Is you?
This is me. I went third.
Oh,
right?
shit. That's true. I wish I could rearrange my screen. Okay, cool. So who are you picking for the Orlando Magic?
So for Orlando,
and you got really 4 options here. Like, I think you're in a bit of this is like a debate. I mean, you look at your roster. Jonathan Isaac is like waivable. He's in waivable territory. You got Markelle Fultz, who's like, I think, had a really great, solid season. I think Wendell Carter is like a starter. I definitely think Paolo is a starter. I think Franz is a starter. I mean, what do you need?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know if they're quite ready to try to like swing for the fences, or if they would just want something a little bit more ready to roll out of the box. I feel like the best. No, see, they already have a bunch of Taylor Hendrickses. They have Jonathan Isaac. They have Mo Bamba, not that he's part of their. Not Mo Bamba. What's his name? Okay, I will go Jarris Walker here. No, actually no. They can't let Amin Thompson slide. Even though they have point guards. Yeah, even though they have Markelle Fultz, like he's better Markelle Fultz, Amin Thompson.
I see where you're going with that. I have a feeling like for me right here, I gotta be honest. Like, I would probably get fired for this, but I would go Kaysen. I would go Kaysen here.
Well, honestly, if this was me drafting as well, I think I would too. I think I'm projecting what they would do in this situation.
All right, fair enough. We're gonna go Amin Thompson, and the prayer brigade is still on full watch. The Kaysen falls down to the Raptors.
Yeah.
All right. So Amin Thompson going to the Orlando Magic to join up with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner to form the biggest team in NBA history. I don't know. Like, this is getting kind of scary at this point, right? You got a 6'7" guard. You got a 6'9" point guard / I mean, how tall is Paolo? 6'10", and then Franz is about 6'10". I mean, this is crazy. Like, you have 3 guys who are 6'7" to 6'10" who can handle the ball. This is crazy. So I think the rich just got richer there. Now Indiana is on the clock, and I guess this is my pick, or no, this is FA's pick. FA's pick for Indiana.
I'm gonna go with Jarris Walker.
All right. With Jarris Walker for Indiana. I think this is about as locked. Like, I have not seen a person not make this pick for them. Why is this so sure, and why are you so comfortable passing on Cam Whitmore? Because I gotta say, Like
I want this. I
Cam
want this.
Whitmore.
I want this
Hmm?
small forward slash power forward because I have so many guys.
You don't think Cam could project as a 3-4 going forward as well?
I already have Benedict maturing, so
He's a 2-3. But you don't think like Cam plus
I need
Benedict Mathurin plus like think about this like I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just kind of curious where you're coming from because you got Tyrese Halliburton, Ben Mathurin, let's say Buddy Hield and Cam Whitmore. Like that's interesting to me with Miles Turner shoring up the back line. Like that could be a very interesting team to me. So it's just like to me, it's like what is the line here? Because a lot of people assume like by 7, Cam Whitmore is off. But right now he's on the board at 7.
I think Cam Whitmore is gonna likely go 4 if James Harden goes to Houston Rockets. So
Yeah, I could see that too. So you're going to pick Jarris Walker here, and I think that is a good pick. And the slide is on for Cam Whitmore, and he's probably going to be my pick next. So let's see here with the 7th pick. All right, with the 8th pick, the Wizards. Oh my God, Cam Whitmore is going to slide some more because there's no way that I'm picking him to go to the Wizards.
you're gonna go for a point guard.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, you like I wish I could say that this is me drafting for fit, but I actually believe that Kaysen's the best player here too. The only player that I could be sort of talked off of Kaysen for is probably Jalen Hood-Schifino here or Kobe Buffkin, but I just think that with the defensive liability that is Bradley Beal, if they're intending to keep him, I think Cason Wallace is the guy that makes sense there. It's just like such a sensible pick for them. I don't know what they're doing with Kyle Kuzma. Is he coming back? Is he, he's obviously declining the player option. Kristaps Porzingis is probably, he had a great season, really good season, but they were nowhere. This is a team that's like in no man's land. And I'm looking at, like the fact that they got a 2nd round pick for Rui Hachimura. And now people are talking about Rui Hachimura might be like a $20 million player. Like, how the hell did that happen? I have a lot of faith in Denny Avdia. I really like him. So I think that, their small forward spot might be a little bit more shored up than most people think. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Cason Wallace here, as much as this probably pisses off a lot of Raptor fans. I think
Cason Wallace already has a promise from them anyways. He shut down his workout after the...
Yeah, he's only worked out for the Raptors and the Wizards. So I think that this
he got a promise from one of 2 of them.
Yeah. I don't see why he was shut down. To me, I don't see why he shuts down workouts because he got the promise at 13. You know what I mean? Like, why would you shut down workouts to get a promise at 13?
The next workout was supposed to be with Atlanta that has a 16 pick or so. So what's the point of trying to fall to 16 when you can go 8, you can go 13?
But I mean, has he worked out for teams like Indiana? I'd be surprised.
Indiana is not looking for a point guard, so.
At all. I mean, I would love to see a backcourt of Cason Wallace and Tyrese Halliburton. I don't believe in this positional shit, man. I really don't for the most part. Anyways, number 9, which is going to be me again because it's the snake draft, right? So number 9, I am now picking for the Utah Jazz. And obviously, Trader Danny gets richer. Picking Cam Whitmore here. This is such a steal. Steal and a half.
That's not fair, man. Oh, damn.
This is really not fair, but
yeah.
They get probably, I don't know.
He's so good there, man.
It's the perfect fit. This just works out so well for the Utah Jazz, and with the lottery with the gold that they struck last year with probably like a future All NBA guy in Walker Kessler. I'm not even stretching it when I say that. He was just so damn good last year. I think this is just bolstering up a young core, and they've got nothing but draft picks coming up. This is crazy. So the rich get richer, as it were. Now moving on to the 10th pick and the Dallas Mavericks. And
I'm going 10.
Yep.
So with the 10th pick, I'm going to go with Derek Lively.
Yep. This is another of the, mock drafts seem to be very, very much in agreement here. Where the hell is Derek Lively?
I live in North Carolina, and I watch a lot of his game with Duke. So he was injured for some time, and we need a big man. And with look at throwing out the love
God.
passes.
You know, I just think I think they're not talented enough to be drafting for fit. And I know a lot of people think that
It's
they
not even
need this
about,
guy.
it's not about fit. He's really, really talented in terms of, and we need some defense with the Dallas Mavericks. So
I feel like there's a guy that you can pick up in free agency that can do roughly what he can do. I mean, I'm not trying to say that he's not a great, not a really good player. This just happens to be a little high.
it's like
Doesn't Dallas need shooting?
Like the NFL draft where somebody took a running back in the first round, right? This is my pick.
Yeah, but I mean, how are you?
Wouldn't they need shooting like that? Like, I swear.
They
a
got
guard would have been a better.
Luka, you got Kyrie, you got they got a lot of shooting. You got what's his name again? The former players, junior. What's his name? That the dad used to play in the NBA. So I need.
Oh, I get you. I
need
just
defensive presence. See,
I'm-
when it
I
comes
wouldn't be
from
shocked
from
if they took Leonard Miller.
From around the 6th pick to around the 15th pick, right? It can go anywhere. There's not a lot of variations.
How do you compare him to James Najee? Because to me, Najee is like a really, really switchable guy that is just screaming to me like late round steal. Like I'm looking at this board right now: Bryce Sensabaugh, Bilal Coulibaly, Leonard Miller, James Najee, Chris Murray, Dariq Whitehead, Brandon. Like I'm seeing like one of these guys is going to be a starter. Maybe two of these guys are going to be a starter in the NBA at some point. Like there's a lot of talent here. So if you're reaching like hard at 10
I'm
for a
not
center,
reaching. Derek Lively is a defensive presence. He affects the game in so many ways. One of the
guys
games
who
I
don't
think-
score outside the paint shouldn't be going top 10 in the draft unless they are like generational at something else.
Was it a game with Duke and UNC that he had like 11 blocks? So
No, I get you. And probably like last year, if they could do the draft again, Walker Kessler probably goes number 10. He goes top 10 for sure. So
Exactly.
I feel what you're saying. I just think like it's gonna be. I'll be very interested to see it because I've seen it not work too.
I'm thinking of the future with Wembanyama coming into this league. I need somebody that can defend him down the line.
I don't think
True.
that's gonna be the guy to defend him. But yeah, that'll be interesting. You know, I mean, granted, all the stuff that we say about 7-foot guys and injuries is gonna hold true for Derek Lively as well. But we shall see. Anyways, on the clock for their second pick, which is the Orlando Magic. The Chicago Bulls, unfortunately, lose this pick. They have to give it to the Orlando Magic as part of the, I believe, Wendell Carter trade. Nikola Vucevic trade. Man, that sucks. So with the 11th pick, the Orlando Magic select, and I believe this is Andre's pick.
Orlando again.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, it's at least we're consistent.
Very consistent. I think I would take Grady Dick here.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Good
Shooting.
pick.
Shooting. He's on the board when I thought he would have went at least 8. But yeah, Grady Dick here with the shooting, his size. You can't go wrong with a lot of shooting, especially coming off your bench. And Orlando isn't a great team, so that should improve them at least. And I think he has some sort of he has length, so he can be taught to defend as well. So yeah, I think that's a good pick.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. Simple.
With the 12th pick, and we got Sam Presti, and oh man, like
Easiest.
this is
The rich
easy?
get richer. Yes.
Okay.
Whose pick is it?
I don't know. I have lost track of who's supposed to be I'm just assuming you guys know because to me I know.
You know
not
what?
my pick. I picked twice one time, so whoever goes after me, it's their turn, I guess, to pick twice.
It's Vince. It's Vince.
Oh, okay. So I'm going 12. Oh, am I going 12 and 13? Okay.
No. You don't snake. It's me and Andre snake because we're at first and last.
Right.
So then
I
I'd
think
go next then.
So Andre picked before
Yeah, I
him.
go next now.
So you were supposed to pick the.
I think I was supposed to pick Orlando, but whatever. Who cares?
Did we screw that up? My bad.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
screwed
we
that
did.
up.
I think
So
I was
it's-
supposed to pick Orlando, and then Andre was supposed to go the next 12 and 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, let's just clarify it for now because I am like clearly tired. So we're just gonna from here on out, it's gonna be Vince, then Fa, then me, then Andre,
Sure.
and we're just gonna keep going in that order until we're done. Cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cool. Okay.
So Matt, I think Taylor Hendricks goes here,
Smart move. Okay.
and that's like
You really think that you think they'd pick him, man?
I fucking love Orlando's or OKC's team. I love it.
And I mean, it kind of fits a position of need for them as well. Yeah, I have a feeling they would. How do you feel about him as a playmaker?
I don't know that he has much playmaking chops, does he? I feel like he's a.
They've prioritized playmaking in literally every single pick that they've made. They prioritize jumbo creators. Now, I understand, like, at some point they're gonna have to break the mold, but whether you're talking about Alexei, you're talking about Poku, you're talking about Josh Giddey, you're talking about Jalen Williams, you're talking Shea Gill, just every single player is a big playmaker. So I mean, it's too late now. You've already made the pick, but like I think here, my opinion, I think it's very hard for me to imagine them passing up on Jalen Hood-Schifino here. I understand they already have like a perfected version of that in Shea, but like to me, it's like it's just their type of player.
Right.
And if they were to pass up on him, I think they would pass up on him for Bilal Coulibaly.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. I forgot about Bilal, but I also wasn't expecting Hendricks to fall this far.
That's fair. I mean, you know, Sam Presti does believe in like asset management, just smart asset management. If he thinks that a player has fallen too far, he probably would scoop him up. But yeah. All right. And the moment we've all been waiting for, the Raptors are on the board. And who is making this pick?
I think I'm making the pick.
Oh, no. I'm scared.
We're allowed to argue with him, right? We can argue.
We can argue. I'm the one who has to press the draft button. And my God, if you pick Keontae George here, I'm just kicking you off the show. And we're just going to pretend you got disconnected.
No, Keontae, no.
Straight up.
So this is going to be tough, and it's going to go to the wire. I'm going to use the full 5 minutes, right? So I'm thinking Bilal Coulibaly. I'm thinking
man.
And I'm also thinking Jalen Hood-Schifino. I like Jalen Hood-Schifino because he can play pick and roll and has a mid-range with Scotty. But I'm thinking future because of the defense and everything. I'm going with Bilal Coulibaly.
You didn't use the full 5 minutes.
Bro, try again, man.
Okay,
I don't know, man.
I am like, I mean, okay, so let's you know what, this is a Raptor show, so let's just all like, I mean, look, it is unfortunately or fortunately it is FA's pick. I'm cool with the guy that he picked. I do obviously want to hear what Vince and I want to hear what Vince and Andre have to say about it. So Vince, like you had the same reaction as I had, close to the same reaction as when we heard that we traded for Jakob Poeltl. So please tell me why FA fictitiously picking Bilal Coulibaly had you hanging your head in your hands.
Well, I feel like this is one of those picks where they can't, because he's an international player. They scoot on over to Fran Fraschilla, and he's like, this is a home run play. This guy is 2 years away from being 2 years away, but you never know. I'm not saying he's Bruno. I'm not saying he's Bruno.
No.
But hold on. Hear my rationale. No, I know. I'm over exaggerating. Here's my rationale. He already, okay. First of all, we already have the things that he brings to the table. We already have. So while do you think he's going to be better than OG?
It's possible.
I don't think any team in this league has a problem that we have too many OG Ananobis on our team. Like if we had 2 OGs, we'd be a better team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit like
And I think he's a way more fluid athlete.
OG is a rookie. Like I listen. I think that there are just such gaping holes in terms of their of specific skill sets that they desperately need on this team, and point guard is the number one hole. They need somebody who can create, who can shoot, and most importantly, they need somebody who can put pressure on the rim. And
do you just
so
not see Scotty as a point guard?
No, I mean I see Scotty as being a point forward, right?
Yeah.
But maybe not the guy who's initiating every offensive play. I think we need to be a little bit more malleable, and you need like I don't love the heliocentric brand of basketball that Dallas has played for years now, and nor would I want Scotty to be in that position. No, like also take into account the fact that he's not the shooter that he needs to be in order to be that regardless, right? But I just think you need other guys who can create with the ball in his hand, and I just think I think Kobe is the obvious choice for the Raptors at this point. I don't know. I guess not like people make arguments for Keontae George, Nick Smith, these other guys who are kind of more bucket getter sort of guys.
Right.
Kobe comes across to me as like a Cason Wallace type, more floor general, but is also a very good defender. Can finish at the rim, can get into the lane, can put pressure on the rim, can shoot it a bit from outside. I don't know. To me,
So
that's
you would have taken Kobe Buffkin here. Is that what
1,000%. I wouldn't need
1,000%. Wow.
1,000%.
Okay. So it's like it's clear Kobe Buffkin. All right. I mean, okay, I get it. I mean, he's a really good player. Andre, who would you have picked here?
All right. Okay. So at the 13th pick, I think you can start to pick positionally, and I think we have a dire need at point, like dire need. And I like big point guards, so I would have went.
Can I remind you that we have Jeff Doughton, Delano Banton, Scotty Barnes, Malachi Flynn,
and we
Fred
still
Van
struggled
Vliet.
at point. And we still struggled at point, right?
We struggled in a lot of places, man. You struggled at guard in general. So I think struggled at guys being able to break down the defender and get into the paint consistently.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much.
You want high IQ players, right? That's what you want. And then I think Bilal is like he's a project. I don't think we have time for that right now. I think I'd go with Jalen Hood. Hold on. Let me finish my point though.
Yeah.
Right. So I would rather go with Jalen Hood, Shafino, or Nick Smith Jr. here.
You say or Nick Smith?
Yeah. Wow. But I think Hood Shafino is the player. He has the size. He can shoot. He can defend. I'd rather go with that than have to kind of start to developing. And Bilal's small forward. Like I want someone that can handle the ball at a high level, right? I'd rather go with. I think Jalen Hood, would be the best player spot here. And go ahead, Iku.
Yeah, Fa. What's your rebuttal here, man?
Yeah, I think if you follow Bilal Coulibaly through the season, right? First, he started from the bench and he's playing in a league where they have like veterans. In Europe, they barely play rookies, right? And if you follow him through the season and how he has developed, and look at his feet, the way he defends, the way he defends, he is really, really good. And honestly speaking, if it's like next year draft, you're looking at the top 5 pick, to be honest with you. And he wasn't even going to be in this draft in the first place. But the way he developed over the season, that pushed him into like contention for. I won't be surprised if he doesn't go top 8, to be honest. And I think he already got a promise, likely going to Orlando or Utah. It's likely he might go to Orlando or Utah.
Okay, can you explain how he would fit in Toronto though? Like
Because
we're in a certain position right now, right? We might
if
lose.
if
We
you
might
look at
lose.
if you look at the
Yeah.
playoffs right now, right, with Denver, you can see like a lot of where positionless basketball can come into play, right? He's like 6'8", which is like 6'9", 6'7", 6'8". Then they can play different roles, and also I think the way Miami is struggling because of height right now, right? We're not gonna have that problem with him, and he can attack the rim. He's very athletic. He doesn't have the OG kind of driving and falling stuff. So he's really, really talented. I think if you give him like the summer and maybe mid-season, then you're looking like possibly that's the 6 months for Toronto. And also, when you have that, when you're looking at that kind of talent, right? You're not you pick the best player available, not for fit, because you can always get the point guard, like Rob just said, right? We have other point guards on the bench, and you can easily trade for one or get one of free agency.
Okay, but then
Yeah,
you say that wouldn't Jalen Hood be the best player available then over
I
But
don't think
Bilal?
so.
Jalen Hood skipping, right? I love his mid range
Yeah.
and pick and roll, but he can play off the ball very well. He needs the ball in his hands. Like if
Yeah.
you look at his catch and shoot shooting, right? It goes always goes right.
He's
Yeah,
I
I
agree with FA there. His off the ball, like there's very little that he can do off the ball.
I would tell you, and when we look back on this draft in 5 years, I think some people will really wonder how um, someone like Bilal Coulibaly slipped past five. I'm not joking. I
You
think
believe
I
that
think
much?
FA is
Okay.
right.
Wow.
I think FA is right. I think the growth that he's shown over the last, I mean, you gotta understand the competition he's facing is on par, if not better, than anything that you've seen in the NCAA. And he's putting up buckets and he's putting up numbers, and he's had this chance to have the ball in his hand a little bit more in the last few games, and it's shining. Now you can say small sample size, fine, it wasn't there all year. The jump shot's a little bit shaky, maybe he's a little bit raw, et cetera, et cetera. But he's an NBA athlete for sure. The way he moves with basketball, like to me, the only debate here would be between him and Kobe Buffkin. I think Jalen Hood-Schifino is like a close third in that debate. I think beyond those three guys, I am looking at someone like Jordan Hawkins. But if I'm looking at Jordan Hawkins, I'm probably looking to trade down just because of how he measured. If he had measured maybe with like a 6'7", 6'8" wingspan, and 6'5", I would feel different about Jordan Hawkins. Definitely a role player though. Kobe and Bilal are the only players left on the board that to me project like they could be stars. Like
Can,
they're
can I
not
add a point?
sure.
So I wouldn't be so I agree with you guys on everything that you've said about the potential of Bilal, and I think he may I too think he may be regarded as like one of these guys that like how could we pass on,
Mm-hmm.
but for the Raptors, I I would only be cool with them drafting him if they get another pick in like the top 15 or whatever. So if they were able to
I agree.
trade, let's say I would be like if they were able to hypothetically make a trade with Dallas, right? It's not going to happen with Dallas because the numbers just wouldn't work out, and I don't think they would trade for for Pascal. But like let's say they do, and they give us number 10 and some other future picks and whatever salary filler as well. If
Mm-hmm.
I would be fine with them taking Bilal at 10, just knowing that there's at least the chance of them getting a scoring slash playmaking slash penetrating guard at 13, right? Like, so I see them making the high end play at 10 for more long term, and but just so long as they have another pick that they can address their point
Who
guard
would they be
needs.
taking at 10? Who would they be taking at 10 in your mind?
Bilal.
And then
I think they would
13,
take
you're taking what?
Buffkin if he's there.
Or Jalen Hood-Schifino if he's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
You guys
mean,
changed my mind. I think you guys are a little smarter than me, so I think maybe you have changed my mind in that. I don't know. I don't know if I feel it's the gut, right? But then I'm not a professional, so
none of us are
Yeah.
professional scouts, to be honest. Like,
Neither
I
are
mean,
we.
we're watching videos.
yeah.
But I mean,
And,
I've seen this
I'm
work
gonna
out.
add too, right? If you look at Bilal Coulibaly, the IQ is really he has a feel for the game at 18 years old. The cuts, the passes, the rebounding, the defending, the way he moves his feet. Wow, he's super talented.
And
He is
oh yeah,
talented for sure. Like I really like him. And like you see, like again, I've talked about him several times on this channel, and every single time I come back to look at how he moves, look at how he moves. Because I just happen to believe that that's a really big part of why guys work out or don't work out in the NBA. Now, you can definitely see plays like this, which is basically like a Bilal Coulibaly blooper reel that we're watching right now, where it's like, okay, air balls and he's raw and whatever, right? And it's just like, yo, I'm seeing like a lot of the stuff, like you're talking like Brandon Miller, top 3 pick, and he's got a lot of the same physical tools. He's just more athletic, he's younger, and he's got a much higher defensive upside. So if you give this guy another year and he pops, like Victor Wembanyama goes off, and teams are increasingly, they've obviously paid attention to him because they've been scouting Victor Wembanyama all year. And so if this guy just puts in a summer of development and he can get some things, like you might be talking about a number 1 pick next year very easily, because he has the physical profile. I think like there's a
When you're
lot of
watching these things, the way he hits the angles and his
there's a
eyes,
lot of
this,
a lot of Rudy Gay in his game, right? And I know that name is very polarizing with Raptor fans, but if you can get a Rudy Gay at 13, and he's not quite as trigger happy as a Rudy Gay, and he can sort of figure it out mentally before Rudy Gay can, that's a hell of a talent to grab at 13. He has a lot of that. Sort of like you just see like how he attacks gaps and angles and whatever. And this is the bad stuff. Like we're watching like all of his ball security, shooting, etc. But like when it's going right for him, the way that he can just cover the court. And look, in an ideal world, I want the ball to be in Scotty's hands a lot next year. And to me, that means having guys who attack angles really well. I'm looking at a guy like Christian Brown and how he's playing off of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic in the finals. And I'm just like, that's what you need. You need guys who do all that other stuff. The Raptors offense and defense got way better when they got Jakob Poeltl. Why? I mean, everyone just looks at how bad Fred VanVleet was at running the team last year, or Scotty Barnes or Pascal Siakam was at running the team. And they're just like, oh, you need a guy who's going to run the team. Well, how many rookies are going to come in and take the ball away from Pascal Siakam? How many rookies are going to pick 13th overall and come in and be like, oh, yeah, Scotty Barnes, I know you were rookie of the year 2021. Don't worry, I got this. You know what I mean? No, every one of these guys is going to be drafted is going to be an off-ball player. So you want a guy who can actually do all that off-ball stuff. That's like basically OG Anunoby 5th option rookie year type of stuff, right? And that's basically where I'm seeing like a guy like Kobe Buffkin, Bilal Coulibaly. I think these guys have all those off-ball skills to be really impactful rookies. Jordan Hawkins as well. If he falls, Grady Dick as well. I think these guys could be that. And then at the very least, now you can get your 20 minutes of development reps without hurting the team, without really hurting winning. And quite frankly, like you're not asking someone to do something they've never done before, which is like what you would be doing if you drafted someone like Keontae George or Jalen Hood-Schifino, and just said, okay, here, come play without the ball and develop all these skills that you've never developed. I think we've learned this the hard way many times, that guys like J.R. Smith and whatever, it takes a long time for guys who are just used to playing with the ball to suddenly learn how to play off the ball. It took like J.R. Smith, it took like 4 or 5 years for it to click for him, right? There's a lot of guys, it just never clicks. They never buy in, right? Aaron Gordon is a great example of that, right? Like it's a guy who's like pretty much almost 30 now, and I mean, like late 20s, and he's just now like coming together as an NBA like pro. So I don't know. I really like Bilal's package and tools. I think it'll come down to what you see as his mental makeup. But like, my God, man, like you squint your eyes, and I know this is gonna be the hottest take of all time, but you squint your eyes and you tell me you're not like it's Jordan-esque, man. The way that he moves, there's like elements. There's a little bit of Michael in terms of just how he moves with the basketball. I mean, just okay, like squint your eyes a little bit and just see him come off this pick. You're telling me that's not like a little bit Jordan-esque? North Carolina, Tar Heels, like, you see what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Jordan.
He's got the
Jordan,
exact same physical profile. Like, he's just not quite the athlete. Like, I'm just saying, like, it just, there's like a sort of like a float to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he sort of glides.
He's very fluid. Yeah, he's very fluid for sure. And therein lies the appeal. I like I said, long term, I think he may be a very, very good player and a player that uh 6 years from now when they do their let's do a redraft for like a 2023 redraft, he could be 4 or 5 or something like that. But I think for the Raptors specifically, the only way you take him is if you get another draft pick, right? That's the only way if you can get another draft pick in the top 15, and then all of a sudden you've got 2 guys and he's one of them, then I'm okay with it. But they sorely need like guys with skill with the ball in their hands right now. They definitely need that. Also, it's worth noting. I just watched it was a chat between Coach Spinella and I always forget this guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
He said Scotty was a no-level scorer. That guy, Sam Vecini.
Yep.
And Sam Vecini is extremely high on Bilal, and Coach Spinella, who I think
he's low on him. He's low on him for sure.
Yeah, he's much lower on him. He doesn't believe in the shot. He doesn't believe in the handle, and that he's going to be a longer term project than most people than some people are saying. So
I mean, time will tell, but for now it's FA's pick, so we're going to pick him 13th overall. And finally, after an hour of debate, Bilal Coulibaly finally goes to the Toronto Raptors. Of course, this is happening in real life. The Raptors forfeit their pick. All right. Okay, man. Now let's try to speed through the rest of this.
I'm giving everybody high fives in the room. The coaches, the scouts, and everything.
You're doing this. You're doing the same thing that Masai did, like when they drafted Scotty. Like, yes, young man, you ready to work? Yes, you're ready to work. Perfect. All right, we're gonna lock you and Scotty Barnes in the gym together and just force you guys to hit jump shots. Whoever hits 100 jump shots leaves the gym first. All right. Okay, moving on to the number 14 pick, New Orleans Pelicans. They got very, very, I mean, this is a team that just drafts so fucking well. David Griffin has just aced the draft the last 2 years. Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Dyson Daniels. Who are they adding to this core? I feel like I know who they're going to add here. Who's on the clock right now? Is it me?
Yes.
Okay. Great. I'm bigging up my own pick. All right. I'm pick. All right. I feel like Jalen Hood-Schifino is the guy, but I'm going to go with Kobe Buffkin. I got to go with Kobe Buffkin here because it just makes too much sense. CJ McCollum is getting older. I think Kobe fits in really well with what they're doing. I really like what they have going on in the backcourt. I really like everything about that team except for Zion Williamson right now. Zion's health is the only thing that I don't like about that. Is the only thing.
Oh, God, Zion.
I know, I was obviously I was the ultimate Dyson Daniels hype boy. I'd be surprised if at this point he hasn't heard of me. Like, Kira Lewis is pretty decent. Josh Richardson, I like everything about that team. Jackson Hayes might be a bit of a miss, and I mean, speaking of, guys that Dallas Mavericks could have taken a flyer on instead of, wasting a high lottery pick. I mean, Jackson Hayes is a guy with a lot of untapped potential. I think you could probably look at to fill that hole. But, Brandon Ingram, I think it's a 6'8" here. He's basically 6'10", man. Like, he's huge. Like, he's 6'9", 6'9.5", playmaker. Like, when it's going right for him, he's great. So I really like Kobe Buffkin sort of joining that group. So I am picking Kobe Buffkin here. All right. Moving on. Number 15. Who got this pick? Number 15 for the Atlanta Hawks. Is this Andre?
Yeah, I think it's me. Or are you doing something? Yeah, I think it's me.
Yeah, it's you.
All right, Atlanta. Oh my gosh. Can you show us who's been picked already? Is that physically
who's
that way?
left?
Yeah. Not who's left, who has been picked.
Who's been picked? I
Yeah.
don't know if I can show you who's been picked. I can show you who was the last pick. Previous pick was Kobe Buffkin. Prior to Kobe Buffkin was the infamous Bilal Coulibaly, moment, the greatest moment in Toronto Raptors history, at 13. Number 12 was, who's picked number 12? My short-term memory is just shit right now. Hendricks. And number 11, I think, was your pick, which you picked Grady Dick.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's who's been picked.
I'm gonna go with Leonard Miller here then.
Whoa. Okay. All right. I don't know why I'm saying whoa. Like, we're all going off the board pretty much here, but yeah.
No, well, I
just
think
not that surprising to me. I actually am surprised that he's still on the board. I feel
Yeah.
like someone's going to fall in love with his combination of length, size, and I actually think that he might.
Dallas, possibly Dallas.
I think it's Dallas or OKC for Leonard Miller. I'm a little
OKC.
bit surprised that he would be on the board here, but he
But
fits. He
didn't
fits
you-
what they're doing.
didn't you pick someone else for Dallas? Like, I think Leonard Miller. Well, Atlanta's always been talking about moving on from John Collins, so why not pick someone that could potentially take his spot?
How did you feel about AJ Griffin last year? I think he's like a really big part of what they got to do going forward. I like Bogdanovich. I like everything about that team except, it's another team like where it's like I like everything about that team except for one guy, and that one guy happens to be their top guy, which is Trae Young. Like I like everything around him. Like I like Jalen Johnson. I'm surprised that I'm saying that, but I do. I think that they have a lot of good young pieces.
Great.
And DeJounte Murray is one of my favorite players. So like,
Why did they let go of Kevin Huerter though? I was wondering.
They wanted the draft picks. Maybe they believed that they could replace a lot of what Kevin Huerter was doing. Maybe they felt they needed more defense around Trae Young. I think that's probably a part of it, and probably because they didn't have minutes to play him, and he's a really good player. Okay, moving on to number 16, which is the Utah Jazz again. Trader Danny, who is oh no, you're kidding me. Is he really going to get rich again? Okay. They picked Cam Whitmore at 9. Who are they going to get at 16 here?
Whose pick is it?
It's yours.
Jalen.
All righty.
That's easy.
Yeah, I agree. That is pretty easy.
And they, I've actually watched a few of the Locked On Utah or Locked On Jazz broadcasts, and a lot of them have been saying that they think that one of the good point guards may fall to them at 16. So they may be looking for a higher upside swing at their spot at 9. So that's why I think there a lot of people are saying that Bilal might go there.
I think I'm looking at the guys that are still left on the board: Nick Smith Jr., Jordan Hawkins, Keontae George, and I'm like, holy shit, there is some serious talent that is going to fall to 20 here. Who's FA? You're at 17 for the Los Angeles Lakers. Who are you picking?
All right, so I want to win now because LeBron and AD.
You're trading this pick.
No, I'm not trading this.
Trading this pick.
I am not trading. I'm going with Jordan Hawkins. I need shooting.
Can you please trade this pick for Fred VanVleet, please?
No,
I beg of you. I beg of you.
I'm going shooting. I like Nick Smith here too, but I'm going with Jordan Hawkins. I need shooting.
Can we go I hate D'Angelo Russell, but can you give us D'Angelo Russell and this pick for Fred? Oh my God, I would do that all day, every day.
And
I don't see why they would do that, but I mean, I get it, I guess.
Well, they for sure need to clear cap space if they're gonna take in a guy like Fred.
They also have their own guys that they want to re-sign. They had a really good run. I mean, right now, I'm not sure I would pick Fred over Austin Reeves.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure I would. Austin Reeves is a younger player. He's got all that marketability. Yes, he is white, and that does help. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where it's you're in La La Land, and this guy's got Taylor Swift. He's dating Taylor Swift now. I mean, that's what LA apparently. Yo, dude, I've been
seen walking around held in hands.
I googled Taylor Swift, and I swear to God, 3 different dudes came up, and all articles were 3 different days apart. It was 3 different dudes
Wow.
in 3 different days. I was like, yo, what this girl looking for like some sort of like motivation
She's
for her
working on a
next
new
single.
album. Yeah.
Next single.
She's
That's
working on a new
exactly it. Which one of these dudes is gonna fuck her over first? I don't know.
You go.
I just think like he's a really talented player. I think like the on-ball skills and stuff. I think Jordan Hawkins fits. I think he fits really, really well to what they're doing here. And he's a winner. You know, there's just like this thing where like, you know, I'm looking at guys like Jordan Hawkins, I'm looking at guys like Christian Brown, and I'm just seeing guys who just win. You know what I mean? And it's not a surprise when these winning guys have winning habits, you know. And Jordan Hawkins has a ton of winning habits. You know, just watched his workouts, been following him on Instagram for a while. He's just this is a dude that I wish the Raptors could get. Like I really would. If we hadn't traded future picks to get Jakob Poeltl, I would trade a future pick to get number 17 to get him right now. I love him. I like him a lot. All right, Jordan Hawkins going 17. That means Keontae George is slipping, and somebody in our chat is losing their freaking mind for sure because there's a really big Keontae George fan. There's a couple of really big Keontae George fans. So where's Keontae going to go? I believe the next pick up is FA just picked, right? So the next pick up is Andre? Yep, Andre.
No, I think it's yours and then me.
Yes.
It's mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Okay, number 18
Miami Heat.
for the Miami Heat, who are currently in the finals. What do they need? Damn. All right, so I got to think about Heat culture here. So Keontae and Nick Smith are out. Damn.
Noah Clowney. They need size.
Noah Clowney would be good.
Yeah.
I'm really tempted to pick James Najee here. Really tempted. But I have a feeling I'm going to
James Najee is the one that was working with Shaggy Ibaka, right?
I think so, yeah. Like, they have... Oh, man.
You got Adebayo already.
It's tough to guess who Miami will take because they kind of have this I feel like they do have a philosophy of like take the best player available, and then Spoelstra is just such a brilliant mind that he'll make whoever that is fit.
They tend to pick guys who are just in incredible shape. If you look at Keontae George, he's lost 20 pounds since the freshman season, wrapped, which to me is like a sign that you didn't come into the season in shape. Like, who the fuck can lose 20 pounds and still walk?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't lose 20 pounds unless you were out of shape to begin with, to me. So that's like a big red flag. Nick Smith Jr., I think they could gamble on his upside. Rayon Rupert has, you know, shades of this. I think if Bilal Coulibaly is on the board here, that might be their pick. But he's not. Bryce Sensabaugh, not a good defender at all. I think Noah Clowney might make the most sense here. So to me, it's between Noah Clowney and James Najee.
Did Juwan Howard ever play on Miami?
He did.
He did? No.
Yeah, he did.
That might be an in right there.
So you think Jet Howard could be the guy? You know
Maybe.
what? I think I'm overlooking Jet a little bit here, and I'm also overlooking. Oh, man, I am very tempted to go Keontae George here. I'm very tempted to go Keontae George here.
No.
Don't do it.
Well, no, because I want him next. That's why.
You want to draft him to the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, you got to take him. Fuck Golden State.
Why?
Guys, they've had enough. They've had enough. They like.
I know this is gonna. Man, you know what? I have a feeling this is just gonna be one of those weird. How would you guys feel about Dariq Whitehead here? Let's open this up. I'm torn between like 4 different guys here. I'm torn between Chris Murray, Dariq Whitehead, James Najee, and Noah Clowney. And
make up your mind, my side.
Okay, I'm gonna go
Okay,
Noah
coach.
Clowney. Yeah, I'm gonna go Noah Clowney here, and
Good-
moving
good.
on, and that means that Andre is going to have.
Yeah, I'll take George. Yeah.
All right, Keontae George goes and joins. I mean, it's just it's so fitting with the type of
Oh my
players
God.
they've been picking like for a while now. You got
This actually might happen. Like,
this. This
truthfully,
definitely could happen. Yeah, for sure.
this
I
might
think they
happen.
might move on from Poole, though. I actually kind of think they might move on from Poole.
Okay, who's
Yeah,
picking
well,
them? Okay, who's got 20? This is I believe this is Vince, right?
No, I think this is me.
We will never establish this order because I'm lost.
Yeah.
The worst host ever. Okay,
I'm
whoever's
gonna
picking
go with
next.
Ryan Rupert.
Oh wow. Okay, you going Rayon Repair? Explain to me why you like Rayon Repair over Nick Smith Jr. and Jet Howard here, man.
I like his game, his defense. I compare him to Bilal Coulibaly, but it's a little bit more advanced.
A little bit more advanced version of Bilal Coulibaly. All right, French basketball is on its way up. All right. Okay. Next up with the Brooklyn Nets. Who are the Brooklyn Nets picking to join Mikal Bridges and this ragtag group of this is honestly a team that I really started to like a lot. Again, everything except for their highest paid player, Ben Simmons, is amazing about Brooklyn and what they're doing right now. What do they need? Yeah. I mean, who's this is Vince. This is you, right?
This is me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go. Podzemski. I don't know how to say his name properly, but I like.
Wow.
I like how he
Okay. Next. Okay. So Nick Smith is this year's guy who slides irrationally far. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this makes sense. This adds up to me, Santa Clara. Sometimes like this program, but I mean, wow, Jet Howard and Nick Smith are sliding. So next up, we got the 22nd pick, which is also the Brooklyn Nets. They got back-to-back picks.
Oh dang. Oh yeah, because this is who they got for this would have been Phoenix's? No.
I
Is that
don't
why they
remember
have
whose pick this is.
more than likely?
Says the Suns.
Yeah.
Suns pick.
I think Brooklyn is picking back to back
Yep.
Yeah.
This is Brooklyn again.
for the trade.
So who's
Okay.
picking from us?
Well, this is the whole thing. I am confused. So I went, and then Andre went.
No, I think you went and I went, then Andrew went.
Bro,
I go after you.
You go after me. That's
yeah,
all we need
that's
to
all I
remember. Is
know.
who goes
That's all I
who goes
remember.
after who is all we need to remember.
All
So
I know is I go after you. So
why is this so confusing? This is so confusing.
so
for
you're
us.
next. You're next then.
I'm
If
next.
that's the case. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So let's just clarify this. Who do I go after? I go after Vince.
Yeah, you go after me.
I think it's just because we initially I say we initially I fucked up because I kept I kept snaking, double snaking because I got more picks that way. I promise I did not do it on purpose. I'm just sleep high. Okay, so with the second pick for the Brooklyn Nets, so I go after Vince, right? Is that clarified?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Vince just picked Brandon. Okay, so cool. So I will speak only after Vince. Perfect. And Andre goes after me, and FA goes after Andre. That makes perfect sense. Okay, this is perfect. If only there was an easy way to remember this. People are probably listening to this bro, it's not that complicated. I thought you were smart. It shouldn't be complicated, but apparently it is. So Vince, then Robert, then Andre, then FA. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Bray. That's how we remember it. Bray. All right. So I'm going to pick Nick Smith Jr. because I can't let him slide anymore, I think. Let's see here.
Yes, I like that pick.
Yeah, I gotta. But I mean, they already have Spencer Dinwiddie. They already
A year
have,
older.
Yeah. Fine. They have Cam Thomas, who put up like godly numbers last year. The Mikal Bridges. I feel like doesn't James Najee make so much sense here?
Yeah, they need a big man.
Oh man.
I
They
want to
need-
pick Nick Smith Jr. here. There's a part of me that also is debating like Bryce Sensabaugh as like a small ball 4.
if they had the Najee, they would have played better against Joe Embiid.
I don't think a center is doing shit against Joel Embiid, but I mean,
At
it
least-
wouldn't hurt to throw another guy with 6 fouls. Okay, I'm picking James Najee. I think.
You think they've given up on Day'Ron Sharp?
I don't know if they've given up on him, and they shouldn't, but I don't know.
What about Trace Jackson Davis?
I mean, you're up next.
Oh, yeah, I am.
And I know that because of Vray.
Portland. Well, yeah, I'll take Nick Smith Jr. for Portland.
Damn. All right. So they got
Right
Scoot
there.
Henderson and Nick Smith Jr.
And
So
Chandler
arguably coming into this year, they got the second pick and the 4th pick, basically. That's crazy. All right.
I'm just drafting best player now,
I mean,
and mainly
that
because
should
I don't
always be
know
the
many
case.
of the other players as well.
So
as
the
you guys.
Sacramento Kings are on the clock. The tempting thing here is to pick Chris Murray, but do you really think he is better than Jett Howard? I think that's debatable.
I'm not gonna
So-
keep the brothers together, the twins together.
You're
I
gonna
am-
keep them together?
No.
You're not. Okay.
I'm gonna go with Bobby Clintman.
That's
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
He's rising up boards.
Wow. I got to go all the way down to 48 to get to this guy. Wow. Okay. Explain to me why you like him, because he is raw as fuck. I understand, like, but you do realize, like, I don't know, man.
I'm thinking of the future, right? He's from Wake Forest, and I think he didn't play well during the season. You can see the potential, but in the tournament, I think he had double. Did
you watch Baba Miller play this year
Huh?
for Florida State? Did you watch Baba Miller play for Florida State this year?
No,
You did, right?
no.
You didn't? Okay, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm a little bit. I get the athletic upside and stuff like that, but like, I mean,
They call him the Swedish. What's it called? It's like Giannis, right? Giannis light, and
Baba Miller,
No,
Bobby Clement.
yeah, and he can really shoot the ball.
Eye test all stars, man. All right, Memphis with the 25th pick. Now, I will say, like, I've been very complimentary of Masai Ujiri in the draft. I've been very complimentary of the OKC Thunder. But one team that I think consistently hits home runs in the draft is Memphis. Like, they do not fuck up. So to me, it would be very, very difficult, Vince, to listen to you screw this up, because it'd be very unrealistic. Because I guarantee you, they are not going to screw this up.
No, I think in real life they're going to be the ones who get Podzimski. How do you say his name?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I think Memphis is going to draft him. But given our exercise we got going here, obviously I'll just take Jett Howard here.
I think that would be their pick because they are probably, they're definitely moving off of Dylan Brooks. I think he sort of slides in to a backup spot for them. I think he could play for them too. So I think this is a really good pick. All right. This is the beauty of mock drafts. There are no bad picks other than Bobby Clintman. All right. I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm not really that kidding. It was a 26th overall pick. The Indiana Pacers select. Holy shit. Okay. This is me. Damn. I gotta go with. I'm torn.
They usually take somebody Canadian at this point.
Why would I do that?
Take one for the team.
Okay. Like, can we just continue this, like, trend of French players being picked. Like we set a record for the most French players picked and just picked City Sissoko. Like,
Go CD.
yeah. So I know one of our listeners really talked a big game and talked up a lot about Bryce Sensabaugh and like really loved him. I wonder if they can make up for him defensively, because he is an interesting bucket getter and who could like bolster a second unit. I think Chris Murray makes some sense here. I think he just sort of fits with how they like to play. I think personality-wise, he fits in really well. So I'm going to pick Chris Murray here. Okay, 26th. All right, Andre, you're on the clock. 27 with the Charlotte Hornets.
Trace Jackson. I'll go with him.
Okay. Did I pass him? Oh, here
Right there. Yeah.
Okay, why do you like him?
Size. Charlotte needs everything. So best on the board. I think he's good.
Do you think Bridges is coming back?
I want to believe he will.
Mm.
I want to believe. But these NBA teams are very good at vetting the right people. And if he's not back yet, then something's up.
Yeah. The team that has handily won the draft so far, in my opinion, is the Utah Jazz. And they have Cam Whitmore 9th, Jalen Hood-Schifino 16th. Who are they picking with their final pick in the first round?
I think I'm going to go with I'm going to go outside the normal. I'm going to go with Maxwell Lewis.
That's interesting. What do you like about him?
Defense and shooting.
I think he fits. I think he really fits with what they're trying to do. I think he has sleeper potential for sure. Now, with another pick in the first round, the third of the final of the 3 picks for the Indiana Pacers, really hoping they trade 2 of these and the Raptors can cash in on it or something. But I don't know for what. But here's a question for you guys. Would you trade Precious Achiuwa for the 26th and 29th pick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That was quick. Okay. I'm not necessarily sure I would, but I see.
I'm not sure I would either.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather get something a little earlier, but
I think
like
it depends
Precious.
I think it depends on who's left. I think I was being a little bit more facetious just based on how shitty his season was last year.
Okay, here's a question for you. Would you trade OG Anunoby for 7, 26, 32, and you swap out, like, let's just say, like, you swap picks with them. So they give you 7, 26, 32, and let's say salary filler. Like,
are you getting any player back?
Like salary filler, you're gonna get
No.
probably
No.
Shit.
No.
So wait, do we have to?
Well, we can get Anthony Black.
And you would give them 13 and OG Anunoby. Would you do it?
Hell no.
No.
Hell no. No way. I'll take OG and 13 over 7, and then whatever Dudu is left at 26 and 29 or whatever.
That's fair. I mean, I guess this just comes down to philosophically, how much more do you value the 7th pick? Okay, so who are they picking at 29?
Full transparency of the guys left. I don't really know too much about.
You can phone a friend. You can phone a friend.
Yeah, you can phone friends. So I think Dariq Whitehead is probably the best of most worlds. Like in terms of like he can shoot a little bit, he can play some defense. He's got decent size.
Yeah. It's interesting because this is confirming my suspicion that Bryce Sensabaugh or Nick Smith are going to fall way further than people realize in this draft, and it's just because like they don't do a lot other than what they can't do. Like it's kind of a weird, like what the fuck do you do with them kind of thing. But all right, Dariq Whitehead goes number 29, and the final pick of the 2023 NBA draft is going to go to me. which is funny because the first pick went to me as well, and the last pick is going to go to me as well. And I am completely lost. Who am I picking? Who am I picking? I am okay for the LA Clippers. Damn. I want to pick Tarquavion Smith so bad here.
Do it. Oh no, make it an all French draft. Go Olivier.
Do I just appeal to the mixtape legends and pick Imani Bates here? I can't believe people are mocking him as high as like 29 and 32 in certain drafts. Like, I just don't see it.
He really did well in the combine. He really did well for himself in the combine.
You think he could rise up to the first round?
I think he's gonna go late first, early second.
Wow. I think he's going. I think he's going mid second to late second. If
he did really well for himself in the combine.
But a lot of guys didn't show up to the combine. So it's like, you talking like the 5-on-5 stuff?
Yeah, the way he played, moved the ball, scored, like he really did well.
That's fair. I'm gonna pick Bryce Sensabaugh here because I can't see him slide any further, and I gotta put this guy out of his misery. I think he's really talented. He's a really talented player, really impactful. I'm really hoping he can sort of develop some of that role player stuff and figure it out defensively. He's a big dude. I think he's NBA ready. I do think he's going to be a small ball 4. Just athletically, I don't see how the hell he can keep up with threes, but I like his center of gravity. I like his ability to score in the post, and, all the best to that. So here is our draft. Just for anybody who's curious, I think this is interesting. I think this is pretty close to a lot of the mocks, but I'm pretty sure it's also completely different from any of the mocks I've seen. So thanks a lot for doing this, guys. Like, this is a very impromptu sort of thing, and I think we should probably try to aim to do this with 6 or 7 people before the draft, like right before the draft. Maybe try to do like let's see who gets it right or wrong or whatever. But I would like to do this while like the draft is actually happening, so we can like live react to it. So yeah, thanks for coming on, guys.
That was fun times, bro.
Yeah,
thank you. I appreciate that. Can you can you save this, or are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can. I mean, this video is live, so technically you could just, I mean, what purpose would you like? You just want to have a link to it?
I kind of learned a lot from about a lot of players to hearing you guys talk, so I'd love to follow to see how closely we are to the actual draft. I know you're gonna do another mock draft, but like this was fun. I really enjoyed it. Learned a lot from you guys.
And what we learned is basically that Bilal Coulibaly is Jordan-esque. That Rob cannot keep track of 4 variables. That when given an opportunity, he will double pick many times before people call him out on it. Yeah, that's pretty much what we learned tonight. But I think this is a cool exercise. It's always fun to do this, and I think the more we can become familiar with these names as a community, I think like people are going to watch this live tomorrow or whatever. They're going to be like, hey, this guy, they were talking about, I don't really know. I haven't heard his name, and they picked him top 20. Let me look him up. So I think it's just good, but I think deeper dives need to be had for sure. Yeah. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for coming on. Andre, you first time caller? You were, right?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
I found you a lot like a few weeks ago, and my friend, I was a little mad that I found you because he always gets his stuff from you. So I was a little. I was
Who's
like,
your friend?
His name is Calvin. I don't know if he's listening, but he never put me on you, and I've been like looking for someone that had the same like concept. Like you were talking about how Siakam takes up the space that Barnes, and I never could articulate that properly until you said it in your video. I was like, oh, thank you. Finally, someone I could listen to. So
man,
thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, Andre.
Yeah.
Cheers, man. Have a good night, man. Cheers. All right. FA, any final words, man?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting with the draft coming, and I hope we do some trade and get multiple first-round picks. Mm-hmm. And the last I heard, I think we're down to 2 assistant coaches, Pascal, trainer, that's likely going to join Nick Nurse in Philly.
I have heard that rumor for sure as well.
Yeah.
Also, did it strike any of you as odd that we did not pick Gigi Jackson?
Oh shit! I completely forgot about him.
I
Yeah,
did
Damn, I
not
would have
forget
definitely
about.
picked him.
I think his short selection is pretty bad, and
I agree. I
mhm.
agree.
Damn,
I think
James
he's
Welch.
I think he's gonna go. I think he's gonna be like a sleeper pick in the 30s. But it's like, like we all get hype about these prospects every single year. We all think this guy's gonna be great, that guy's gonna be great, that guy's gonna be great. And at the end of it, it's always gonna be like maximum 12 guys. 60 guys gonna get picked, 12 guys gonna be good, right? So it's like all these guys that we're super hype about, I guarantee you, like if I told you 18 of the guys that we just picked are going to be shit, you would never believe me. Like right now, you will never believe me that 18 of these guys are going to be
But I
nothing.
think this draft is different. There are a lot of really
Yeah.
good.
Max. You're going to get 15. Max. Like
Uh,
15 guys who stick around the NBA past 6 years.
Yeah.
Like most of these guys are going to be out. Like not most of these guys. Like I think I was articulating the other day, like in terms of like where I think the draft strengths and weaknesses are. I think 1 and 2, obviously, as long as Brandon Miller does not go 2. No offense, but like I mean, I think like Scoot and Wemby is like 1 and 2 for me. Beyond that, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 does not strike me as like abnormally talented for an NBA draft. I see a lot of guys in that range that I typically see in that range. But to me, like that 10 to 15, 10 to 14 range is unusually stacked. To have an opportunity to potentially get a guy like Case and Wallace at 11, 12, or 13 is not something you get every year. So to me, that's like where the depth is, that you have like a traditional first overall pick. You might have a second overall pick that goes first overall in a lot of drafts. You have a solid third overall pick, regardless of whether that's Scoot or Brandon Miller. And then, from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you probably have like 10 guys that can go top 10 in a lot of drafts. That's how I see it. So I'm not like overly depressed that the Raptors picking 13. I think they're going to get a good player. Obviously, I prefer they pick 9th or 8th or 7th or whatever, because I just think that they would be more assured to get their guy. And I'm a little bit bummed out that they're picking behind the Utah Jazz they're picking behind Utah and OKC, 2 teams that just historically are great. But I'm really happy they're picking ahead of New Orleans, because whoever the hell they were going to pick, New Orleans is going to pick them. So
I think the good news is that somebody's going to drop to us that we really like.
yeah, I mean, look, like even when you made that Bilal Coulibaly pick, like Kobe Buffkin and Jalen Hood-Schifino was still on the board, right? There's just no way, unless, and I really don't want a 4. I really don't want a power forward. Like whatever the hell comes out of this draft, that is the one position. I know we're not drafting for position. I'm just not in love with any of those 4s in this draft. And if you tell me that Cam Whitmore is the guy that somehow by some miracle is the guy who slips through the cracks to 13, I'm fine with it. But I would prefer not to draft him, weirdly enough.
Right.
As good as I think he is, like there's just sort of like a feel thing with him where it feels like basketball is a little bit unnatural for him. You know what I mean? Which is like what I don't feel with Bilal Coulibaly.
I feel like he's just going to take a little bit more time to get to work.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think any of the Thompson twins they're going to fall to like 13, 14?
That would be a shock, right?
It's possible. Anything is possible in this draft.
I think those guys, people kind of not poo-poo, but like their whole drawback is that they play for overtime elite. And so I just mean in terms of like what teams can see of theirs, like versus the competition. Like playing for overtime elite is not the same as watching them play in the NCAA, and is not the same as watching them play in the G League or play against professionals overseas. So it's kind of like the lowest tier of competition. But they've had like I think they played for, I don't know if it's Team USA or like they played like kind of in international games where they've looked good against pros as well. So
I think like every draft has like their OJ Mayo, right? Every draft has that guy that is just, he looks really good. Everything looks smooth. Everything looks solid. It's just never going to come together. It's never going to quite come together for one reason or another. It's going to be maturity. It's going to be injuries. It's going to be jump shot. It's going to be handle. It's going to be something. And it's just never going to quite come together the way that it did on the previous level. Because when you level up, every advantage you have has to scale up. I think they have something for sure. But yeah, like I could see both of them ending up being role players too. You know what I mean?
I think naturally
the good news is that we're gonna get one of Casey Wallace, Kobe Buffkin, Jalen Huchifino,
Or Bilal
or
Coulibaly.
Bilal Coulibaly. We're gonna get one of those four, so I'm good.
Would you be okay if all those guys are off the board somehow by some, like divine miracle or whatever, or curse? Would you be okay with Grady Dick?
No.
You would not be okay with Grady Dick.
No, they made hopefully Anthony Black falls then. Tony Black or one of the Thompson.
That is definitely not happening. But I mean, like, look at how many skilled like playmakers there are in this draft, like big playmakers, right? It's just like I'm looking at this, and I'm just like, if all of these guys, dude, even if half of these guys end up being starters at the NBA level, you talking Scoot, one of the Thompson twins, Kaysen, or Anthony. That's three guys. That's 3 point guards. Look around the league right now. How many teams need a starting point guard?
Very few.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got 3 more coming into this draft. This draft is loaded. And if I'm Fred VanVleet's agent, I am literally like, yo, bro, this is you not opting in. You opting out and you getting like the biggest bag because this is the last bag you getting for the rest of your life. Because
it's even worse for VanVleet now, right? You have Chris Paul, likely. You have Kyrie. You have James Harden. You have Russell Westbrook. You have D'Lo. And then you have VanVleet. Like, look at the competition, right?
Yeah, and he's the smallest of the bunch, and like I definitely see it. Like the league is so close to passing him by, like so close.
Don't be surprised if he opts into his contract.
I would be shocked out of my mind. He's not opting in, man. I would bet money on that. I would bet like 100 to 40. That type of deal. Like he's not opting in.
Where do you think he's gonna go if you're a betting man?
Philly. I see Philly somehow making it work.
What they're gonna give us? What they're gonna give us? Philly can't get him directly.
Melton.
Huh?
Melton?
I would love that. Oh my god, if that happened, I would fucking take Melton any day.
Melton there has to be a draft pick coming our way too.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Beggars cannot be choosers. I mean, he could just walk outright. He can go to another team.
He can walk outright to Philly.
He can't go to Philly. Fine, but he can go somewhere else. Like they're not gonna gut their team. Like they're doing you a favor too. You know what I mean? Like you can't.
No. I think Harden is going back to Philly. I think all this shit about him going to Houston is smoke and mirrors. I think he's trying to get a contract from them, and Houston is his only leverage.
But Philly's not going to give him that money.
Would you? I mean, to make the contracts work, I mean, look, if he's signing for $30 million, just taking back Melton alone is not even going to make it work because Melton's only making $8 million.
Exactly.
So you're going to have to take back, like, I mean, you're not taking back Tobias Harris. You'd have to take back PJ Tucker, Korkmaz, and probably Daniel House. Like you have to take back all of them, just to make that contract work, right? So it's not gonna add up for them, and they will have to commit to a long-term core of Tyrese Maxey and Fred VanVleet as a backcourt. Like, are they mental? Like that's not happening either because neither one of those guys can be able to guard a shooting guard to save their fucking life. And like where are you going with that team without James Harden? Like going from James Harden to Fred VanVleet is a massive downgrade. Like you got nothing else on that team other than Joel Embiid and Fred VanVleet. Like you could be a lottery team. Joel Embiid twists his ankle, you're a lottery team. Like that is holy shit. They cannot do that. So they need to hold on to DeAnthony Melton to save their life, and they're not giving up. So I totally okay. So now I want to retract my Fred VanVleet take. One place that could work for Fred VanVleet would be just as an outright signing.
Yeah.
San
Just to, like,
Antonio, you know what San Antonio reminds me of? San Antonio reminds me of, like, in GTA when you were a pissed off teenager and you ran over somebody and then you backed up on them and then you ran over them again and then they got up somehow because they had a little bit of health left and you ran over them again because you're a psychopath. That's what San Antonio trading and dealing business with the Raptors basically seems like to me right now.
That's
It's not bad enough that you took the first round pick for Thaddeus Young, then you rolled the car back, took a first round pick in 2 seconds for Jakob Poeltl, and now you're going to roll it back.
They're
and
trying to
you'd
get
be like,
everything back for trading Kawhi to Ross and Danny Green. The championship.
right?
They want,
Oh my
they
God.
want the ring
It's
back.
like blood money, man, with these
Yeah.
people. I don't know, man. Like who would be a good sign and trade partner? Obviously, Orlando doesn't have to do shit for you. I think Chicago would be great, but like, what can Chicago give you other than the absolute damaged, Lonzo Ball at this point? Like, would you do a sign and trade for
Kobe.
Kobe White as a free agent?
I'll
It would basically
I'll
be
for D'Lo and the 17th pick.
wow. Would you do Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, and Patrick Williams for
Yes.
Fred VanVleet?
Yes.
You would, right? I don't think
I
they would,
don't
but
think they're good. I don't think
they'd have to be insane to do this.
Never do that.
But it's really hard, man, because like, look, when you look at what Fred VanVleet wants, like, there just aren't a lot of teams that can give you $30 million.
What he wants is not what is like.
Yeah, he's not getting like, I don't think he's getting 30 million a year. Like, other
Even if he gets 28
teams,
million a year, you still have to match about 25 back. I mean, how many teams can comfortably give you $25 million in salary in terms of something you actually want back? I mean, look at the Kyle Lowry trade, as if you're looking for precedent here, right? Kyle Lowry for Goran Dragic plus Precious Achiuwa. So you're basically like looking at that type of deal. You're looking at an expiring plus something you actually want to facilitate this trade. That's assuming that somebody wants Fred VanVleet as badly as the Miami Heat wanted, apparently, Kyle Lowry. So I don't know. I look at a guy like shit. Like, I mean, there just aren't a lot of teams that can do this. And I mean, you also have to look at, I mean, it's such a needle in a haystack situation because you also have to have a team that Fred VanVleet agrees to go to. You're already cutting it down to about 5 teams, right? He's not going to the team to be a backup, right?
Yeah.
So you can rule out every single team with a superstar point guard that's better than him, which is more than half the league, right? He's not going to be a backup in the future, so you can rule out any team that has a young point guard that they're grooming. So you can rule out teams like Charlotte. He's not going to Charlotte. You can pretty much rule out pretty much small markets. You can rule out teams that don't have the cap. You know what I mean? Like, this is a really, really, like, there's like 4 options, maybe max.
I think he ends up back on Toronto.
Yeah, he might have to. But then that's the kind of messed up part about this is like, why is Toronto playing into his hands like he has all the leverage here? He doesn't have any leverage. Like, yeah, you could say like, yeah, you can go anywhere you want, but the only place you can really go, in my understanding here, is Orlando. And it's like, if I'm Orlando, why am I picking him? Why would I pick him if I could probably get something close to Grant Williams and Gary Trent Jr. or just take Fred VanVleet for almost the same amount of money. Right. Grant's going to be like 15 million. Gary would be about 20. That's about 35. Or I take Fred for 30. And Fred's the older player among the two. Like, I don't need him. I got Marcus Fultz. I got Cole Anthony.
But they're looking for a veteran presence in the locker room, right? So.
Did they not see our locker room last year? That didn't faze them at all. Like,
yeah, he wasn't the face of stability here.
Yeah, but it's all about packaging, right? Depends on what clutch. It's all about packaging. He can put it like you saw the report. You saw the report mid-season where they said if it wasn't for VanVleet, the locker room would have blown up. you saw that, right?
Here's an out-of-the-box thought. What about CJ McCollum and Dyson Daniels for Fred VanVleet?
They're not trading Dyson.
They're not going to do that.
Why not? You can move off a very, very big contract in CJ McCollum. Yeah, I understand Dyson's awesome, but like, I mean, you got to give up something. And CJ McCollum is not worth $34 million a year for the next 4 years. So you are basically agreeing to take on CJ, and Fred is a better player than CJ McCollum at this point, and he's a younger player, and he is going to be paid less.
Is it for 4? Yeah, it's for 3 more years, right? For 3 more years, CJ McCollum.
I don't think Fred is better than CJ. Even though CJ plays no defense,
he's better defensively, and he's a better creator. He's not more talented, but he's a better player for sure, in my opinion. And I'm a big CJ McCollum fan, but I love him, but like he is a better player, and he fits in a little bit better too. I mean, if it wasn't for that, like, I mean, okay, I'm just looking down the list of like teams that have a big contract. What about Washington? Washington is a team that could make some sense here. Now, granted, like in our little mock draft, we did draft them a point guard, but could they potentially? Man, shit. Like, I mean, they don't have the salaries.
I think they're leaning toward. I think they're leaning toward rebuilding.
They're leaning towards rebuilding. Yeah.
Houston is, you know, if they don't pick Scoot, or a point guard at, I think they have the 4th pick, right?
But so they have 60 million in cap space, right? So why did they need? They
don't need us to do a sign and trade. They can just sound them out, right? So so Fred's basically options are Orlando, Houston, Detroit,
San Antonio,
Detroit. Detroit has cap space, right?
Yeah, but they have so many point guards or middle or something there.
But they also have Dwayne Casey. There is that sort of familiarity, and he did move up to the front office. They could look at someone like Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, and they can say, "Hey,
this guy is dear Monty Williams, right? Monty and Monty wanted him in Phoenix way back, right? They're trying to trade for him,
right? I mean, Monty really got along with. He did not get along with. He didn't get along with DeAndre Ayton. But he did get along with Chris Paul, right?
Mm-hmm.
So could Detroit be a Chris Paul spot? I don't know. That would be interesting, like in terms of like culture setter. I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling to find another team that needs him. Like San Antonio, I think like it's just kind of off the timeline. I guess, but it's like, would he go there? Memphis is a no, but I think
it's more New Orleans.
Okay, here's an out of the box thought. What would you give up to get Ja Morant? Vince is like my firstborn child.
I'll give up a gun.
Yeah. I don't think that would ever happen.
I don't think they're trading Ja Morant.
I would give up anything except Scotty for Ja. Because I'd want Ja to play with Scotty. That's it.
Would you do Pascal in 13?
Yes.
Pascal, OG, and 13?
No, not
OG. Too far. Pascal and 13. Can we get 26 from them?
Yeah.
Vince's quest for those late first-round picks.
Oh, give me a little something.
But I don't think they're trading Ja.
Yeah, I don't think they're trading Ja either.
What about Milwaukee?
What are they gonna give
up for Fred VanVleet? I mean, I don't know how they can give up. I mean, you know, it's just like, you know, if he just says like, if he gets sour and he's just like, you know what, fuck y'all, like I'm leaving. Like I'm leaving one way or another. I'm gonna go to Houston. Like let's just say you're at an impasse with this guy where he has an offer from Orlando and they can sign him out, right, for like 31 to 32 million, and they're willing to give it to him for some stupid reason because they have a whole bunch of guys on rookie contracts and it's a steal. So they can give it to him, and he comes to you and he's like, hey, by the way, if you want to facilitate a deal with me, I'm willing to only go to one of these 3 places. I mean, at that point, it's like, do you let him walk for nothing? Because, I mean, like, you don't really see any of that money back. You're already over the cap. It becomes really, like, you end up in a really shitty spot when you end up just over the cap, but way under the luxury tax, because it's really hard to fill that salary back.
I
You know
think
what I mean?
when it gets to that stage, then you consider trading Pascal for the third or fourth pick, or possibly the fifth pick, then get some young players back.
What
The
about
problem is you can't package, unfortunately, in sign and trades. So in a hypothetical situation, let's say you wanted to be able to, I don't know, put Fred and Pascal on one team. You can't even put them on the same team. You have to do two separate trades. I know it's not necessarily what you're saying, but it's just like I think a lot of people have
you know, Houston. If they're getting James Harden, right, then they're looking for a veteran. They'll likely want to get Pascal, right? And that's where the number 4 pick comes into play with some of their young players, probably Tari Eason and some other players. And
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah.
I will make Vince a very happy person here. Here's my proposed trade. The Toronto Raptors trade Fred VanVleet for Kyle Lowry plus their first round pick this year, which will be like the 21st pick, I think. The 22nd.
22nd. Who, Miami?
No, Miami's picking 18th. So 18th pick plus Kyle Lowry for Fred VanVleet. Do you do it?
I would. Yes. I would do that in a heart. I would take 39-year-old Kyle Lowry.
He's 37, bro. You don't have to age him up. He's aging himself up pretty fast.
Sorry.
You don't got to.
Sorry, I meant to say 38 because he will be 38 next year.
He is.
But yeah. Yes, I would take that in a heartbeat. But do you think there is any?
So you're basically paying $28 million for the 18th overall pick, in a nutshell.
Yeah, but you have a veteran present in the locker room, right? He's gonna really, really help.
A legend.
He's gonna help.
Sign Vince Carter to a 10-day, bro.
Vince Carter is not Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry will help the younger players develop really like.
And then maybe you get Bilal with the 18th pick. You never know.
He's not going to be there at the 18th.
He's not going to be there. It's a lottery pick.
But you might end up with one of those guards that's slipping, like a Nick Smith Jr. or Keontae George or something like that.
Kobe Buffkin.
Damn, if Kobe Buffkin slips to 18, five people deserve to be fired. That could be it. Yeah. Anyways, it'll be. As evidenced by this chat is obviously like a lot of stuff.
What do you think about the number 3 pick? If I know you love Scoot, if Scoot is not there, would you trade number 3 pick for Brandon Miller?
What am I trading, Pascal?
You're trading Pascal, yeah.
I would in a second.
I don't think so, man.
I would in a second because Pascal and Scottie Barnes. They share the same space on the floor.
No, I get all of that. Believe me, I do. But Brandon Miller, there's something about this dude, man. Like I watched a 40-minute video with him, and he just struck me as all types of nervous.
Have you watched his high school video?
No, I don't care about his high school mixtapes and shit. He's bigger than everybody. He was like a year up. Like he's obviously very athletic. Guys like this always going to look great in high school. Like they're just taller than everybody. Like he's huge. Like he's 6'8", 6'9". He can shoot over people. Like whatever, right? It's not really going to show until you put like guys his size, his athleticism against him. You're not going to be able to see the gaps in his game, right?
But the jump shot is not going to go anywhere, right?
It's low. It's a low jump shot. He doesn't finish well in the paint. If you take it away, what are you really drafting 3rd overall here? I mean, look, like in all honesty, if you had him and Jabari Smith in the same draft, who are you picking?
I'm picking Miller.
As a prospect. You picking Miller?
I'm taking Miller. 100%.
Jabari Smith?
Yes, bro.
100%. Yeah.
Wow. Better handle, better playmaker, better shooter.
He's better defender.
And he's a decent defender. He's pretty good.
I think your voice like went up 6 octaves there. He's a pretty decent defender. He's not so bad.
He's got a little Curb Your Enthusiasm going. Yeah.
Not so bad.
I think I think he's a very good defender.
Wow. Okay.
No, I think he's good. I think he's going to be better than Jabari Smith, bro. I think he's.
I'm a really big Jabari Smith fan, and I'm holding out hope that he's going to be fine because I think the Houston Rockets are a fucking disaster class and like just the worst basketball I've ever seen in my life.
Big Jabari Smith fan. You can't put the ball on the ground. I think Orlando dodged the bullet.
Look, they obviously like knew something when they picked him, because the third overall pick has not worked out at all, and the second overall pick missed the entire season. So regardless of how good Chet Holmgren ends up being, like you've already lost a year of value on that, and that's a really big part of these draft picks. Brandon Miller, like the analytics is hard to argue with, right? Like it's crazy, like what he was able to do, but. To put this into context, for 100 possessions, right? I mean, like here, I'll just share the screen here. Wait, nope, that's the wrong one. That's the trade machine that I was looking at. My bad.
Four-teamer. Dang, it's a big one.
No, I was browsing through teams and I was just like, let's see here. So Brandon Miller, college stats. So I mean, like this is crazy, right? Like the numbers are off the charts. So maybe I'm just like I'm not giving enough credit. 38% 3-point shooter, 43% field.
He was like 42%, 41% before the tail end of the season.
And 12 box plus minus is insane, right? Like that is mental. Like that is the best basketball player in college basketball by far, right? And potentially one of the best basketball players in college basketball history. 12 box plus minus is legitimately mental. Like I am very curious to stack this up against Carmelo Anthony as a freshman at Syracuse. I have a feeling it's going to be very close.
Fraschilla thinks he's closer to Paul George than he is to Chris Middleton.
Yeah, they don't have box plus minus for him, and they don't have what the hell? Damn it! So win shares per 40 is 0.18 for him, and Brandon Miller. It was 0.23. So he's impacting winning more than fucking freshman Carmelo Anthony.
There you go. I think you might be sleeping on him, dude.
Is this going to be one of those players where I'm
so
just
smooth, so fluid?
Like, he's really good, and despite all the stuff that happened, right, with the gun stuff and everything, he still played through it with all the bullying, all the social media harassment and everything. So he's a pretty tough kid.
I don't know, man. Okay, give me the what do you not like about him? Is there anything you don't like about him? Because I mean, I watched like 2 whole games of him, and there's parts of it where I was like, okay, granted, it's like a part of it is like, okay, he's kind of like
what was in the tournament? You know, he was hurt during the tournament, right? He had hamstring issues.
That's fair. I mean, he's still.
I mean, his drawback is finishing at the rim, right? That's his knock.
Yeah.
But
the jump shot is smooth as fuck. Yes, absolutely. There's a bit of a dip in it. So worst case scenario, you're looking at what? Rashard Lewis?
So it's I mean, he's got a bit of a dip, but it's quick trigger. Like he gets it off quickly. Right?
Yeah, there's yeah, you're right. It's a little bit low, but like it's gonna have to be reworked for sure. I
think he's gonna be better than Rashard Lewis. Like, I think he's got
sleeping a little bit on Rashard Lewis. No,
what's that?
He was the second best player on a lot of really good teams. Rashard Lewis. So if you're saying he's going to be better than Rashard Lewis, so you're saying like he's going to be the first best player on a lot of good teams or something close to that. See, the thing with like I don't want to shit on it. Like, so I just think there is a drop off between him and Scoot, and I think it comes down to feel.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, like would you take him over Paolo last year?
No.
Wow. Okay, because like the numbers say yes, 1000%. You should take him over Paolo.
I like
Paolo was like debatable last year. Like a lot of people were arguing Jabari right up until the draft, right? So
I preferred Paolo all the way to the draft. Paolo was my pick because Paolo has always been my
because
pick.
of Duke. Because you're like right there.
Right there, and I watched all these games, right? The strength and everything. To me, it reminded me of Carmelo. I know the drawback then was his defense, but he was really good for Duke.
Subpar finisher, skinny frame. Yeah, like you know, if he puts on some muscle, he's never going to get more vertical burst.
Yeah, but I mean, like guys can develop. I just think like when I see him physically, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that he should be better or that I just.
Did you watch his workout video? I think 2 days ago.
Swaggy D saying Brandon Miller plays similar to Danny Granger. I see that. I see a little bit of that.
Danny Paul George. Yeah, he's really good. He's really good.
Hey, Danny Granger was a great player. The fact that the Raptors passed on him for Joey Graham is still something that haunts my dreams to this very day.
What if Rafael Arijo for instead of Iguodala? You want to kick?
Honestly, man, if Danny Granger had stayed healthy, I think Joey Graham. No, you're right. you got Rafael Arijo, who couldn't stick in the league for 3 years, and a Finals MVP on the board.
Or even Terrence Ross over this guy. What's his name again? The big man.
Andre Drummond.
Yeah, from Connecticut.
Andre Drummond is on my all-time list of like most annoying players that I just don't like watching playing basketball. So
his impact in the first few years compared to Terrence Ross.
No, that's fair. Great rebounder, great shot blocker. Just I don't know, man. I think we understate how much Shaqtin' a Fool has an impact on a guy's brand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways, guys, great chat. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm gonna get to sleep at some point. I can see Vince is like about to doze off right on. Like
my eyes are starting to. Yeah.
I feel you. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
See you at the next post game. Hopefully, we'll be talking about Denver Nuggets championship. FA, you messaged me on Instagram saying Miami has life. I'm like, nope, they do not.
I thought this guy was gonna fall out.
Nah, he's a smart guy. But yeah, always. Anyways, take care, guys. Have a good one, and thanks a lot for participating in the draft.
Are you gonna do something tomorrow if they pick a coach? Like
I don't think they're gonna announce a coach on Saturday, man. Like it's just like a Monday thing or a Friday thing.
Yeah, but
Friday if you're gonna announce.
Eddie Griffin was on Saturday, right?
Adrian Griffin.
Eddie Griffin. Then Nick Nurse the next day.
I want Eddie Murphy as our next coach.
Adrian Griffin was on Saturday, then Nick Nurse was the next day, right?
It could be. I guess I'm going.
But I read somewhere that my side is waiting for the season of this guy to end his career.
Mm-hmm. They did a Zoom interview with him. I think
they want to
Skype or whatever.
They want to do it face to face around the 23rd. I think he's gonna be the coach if I'm a betting man. Or Kenny Hackinson.
I don't want Kenny Atkinson. I don't know, man. I'm ready for this to be over. I know way too much about coaches that I don't want to know. I know too much about the assistant coaches of all the teams in the league. Stephen Young, I didn't know this guy before this season. And now 2 months, and I've just been debating which assistant coach. I know about WNBA coaches now. I even looked at freaking women's college coaches to see if there was some new blood talent that I was just missing out on. Man, I did some sleuthing here, and I'm just ready for this to be over. I want.
So, what do you think they're gonna pick?
I do think it's gonna be Sergio, and it's pretty cool because it's Italian, and obviously Pensare
And Vince, who do
And
you
sorry,
think
basketball. We're very happy.
where they're
Happy
gonna
here.
pick, Vince?
Huh?
Where they're gonna pick?
I don't
What do
know.
you mean?
I feel like they're leaning Kenny now. I don't know.
Kenny
I think
Atkinson, man. I just, again, like, my preference has been Jordy Fernandez all along. I'm not about to bail on the guy right now. I understand reports are out like he's not really, in the final running or whatever. I don't see why he wouldn't be. He's exactly what this team needs, in my opinion. Granted, I'm not sitting there in those 8-hour interviews. I have no idea what he did or did not say, but the proof is in the pudding, man. Like the vibes. Like when I look at the Sacramento Kings and the Denver Nuggets, I think of the anti-Raptors. And he's been instrumental in building the culture in both of those environments. Granted, he's not the only person who didn't build it by himself. Obviously, Mike Brown had a huge part to do with that. Coach Malone had a huge part to do with that. But, just in terms of like guys developing chemistry, culture, I think, whether or not he's a guy that you can win with or he's going to prove himself to be a genius in the playoffs, an X's and O's guy. I just think like from a chemistry standpoint, there's like a connection that he could forge with players
My problem with
that maybe 62-year-old Sergio Scariolo might have an issue with. But I don't want to write off anybody because of age, because basketball talks.
Popovich is 70 something, right? My problem with Scariolo is that means
who's developing in San Antonio right now? Like which players are really thriving in San Antonio? Like DeJounte Murray talks shit about them on their way out. Kawhi Leonard talks shit about them on their way out. You can get too old for the world, at some point.
My problem with Scariolo is that we're likely not we're likely going to bring the same players back, which I don't want. But yeah,
I don't see how those two things are connected. To be
honest,
but
he's a really good coach. He's the finest now. He's a winner anywhere he goes. So
I think his winning record and all that stuff is a little bit overstated when you look at the talent that he's really had with Spain. Like the Spanish national team was really good before him too,
Yeah, but if you watch the video of some of the in-play calls, right, they're really good.
He's very smart. He's very smart. But I'm not about to sit here and just credit him for like creating the Spanish national team program and making them great, or making.
But look at what he's doing. What he's doing in Italy, and you look at the report about.
Dude, how do you like? I'm being real here. Like Marc Gasol is a former defensive player of the year. Pau Gasol is a defensive like juggernaut himself. You had tremendous talent at the guard position every single year.
Let me ask you a question. What you just said, if they give a different coach Toronto Raptors team, don't you think we would have been better this season?
Sure, just because the chemistry would have been better.
Even the play calls, we just play.
But eventually, like you don't want to be in the exact same position in 2 years where like you're having to fire this guy in 2 years because he didn't, like he wore himself thin. Like you ideally want a guy who's going to be here for 5 years, 5-6 years. You want every person you hire, in my opinion, to be someone that you can build with for 5-6 years, because players develop some sort of continuity.
One of those younger coaches, David Adelman, Joe Fernandez, and
yeah, that's exactly it. Like I would want one of those guys. I don't like, and I mean, look, you could very easily find a hotshot assistant under Sergio Scariolo and just have a sort of agreement of like, hey, you're going to right the ship for a couple of years, and then we're going to move on to this, assistant, and maybe there's a sort of package deal being worked on. I have no idea. I don't want to speculate on it too much any more than I already have. I already devoted like 15 videos, I think, to the coaching search for Toronto. And I'm just like, I'm so sick of it too. I just want them to hire somebody and be done with it.
Yeah, well, I'm tired. My side overanalyze things to paralysis. Is just like, come on. He does that with trades, does that with signing up players. Like sometimes overthinking things can be a problem.
I think a lot of what is going into their decision is what's going to happen with the
what direction they want to take. I think he's really confused. The playoffs is even making them more confused with what Miami is doing. Do we rebuild? Do we retool? Do we bring everybody back? Are we that far off?
Yeah. No, I think, you look at what's worked, right? You look at Coach Malone, you look at Eric Spoelstra. What's the number one thing? They've had continuity with their rosters. They've had continuity with ownership. They've had continuity with their front office. It works. Granted, you can obviously wear, the wrong suit 10 days in a row for sure. I get that. But I think, sustainable, the Raptors have had success because of that sort of continuity. Like you had Kyle DeMar for like a lot of years. You swapped out a piece and you won a championship. But that Kyle Lowry element of it was continuity. I think continuity is winning. And there are a lot of general managers out there who just come in and they just want to throw everything away, and people call them great. And it's just like, I look at it and say, are you trying to win the battle? Are you trying to win the war? Are you trying to win the headline? Or are you trying to win a championship, right? Because it's really easy right now for Masai Ujiri to win a lot of popular votes by trading away Pascal Siakam for multiple first-round picks and future picks, etc. He's going to win a lot of favors, but there is absolutely no way that that's bringing you closer to a championship, right? So it's just deferring, right? And you win the moment again, but that's not how Masai Ujiri has really chosen to play things. He's often shown himself to be really patient, overly patient to the point where it's become a meme, and I sort of appreciate that about him. I'm not a very patient person myself. I've learned a lot from him in that sense. Anyways, guys, have a good night. As always, nice talking to you. Peace.
Until the next one, take care, boys.
Cheers, man.
Okay, guys.
Bye. All right. Now, let me know in the comments below what you think of this little weird lighting setup I've got going on. Personally, I kind of like it. I prefer it to the initial thing that I was going with before. And so this my laptop conking out was a bit of a blessing in disguise. I actually like it. I mean, personally, it's not. Yeah. I mean, there's just more of a background, right? Like there's more like behind me, and I personally prefer that. Anyways, let me get some comments here. I think it's Adelman, Charles Lee. Adelman is certainly very convenient, isn't it? Because he's in the finals right now. He's going to be coming off a championship. It's going to be exactly like the Dwayne Casey thing, right? We hired Dwayne Casey after, he won a championship with Dallas, and there's like that sort of hype and hoopla, etc. I get that. I don't necessarily think he would be my first choice again, but that's just where I'm at with him. But certainly a brilliant guy. Comes very highly recommended. He's paid his dues, and he's really been a part of building something great. Nikola Jokic can't stop raving about him. So clearly, Is that a Nurse cap? No, it's a Puma cap, man. Come on. Incognito Rob. Oh, yeah. So I figure I should just explain, like, I'm not like the reason that I have a baseball cap on. So I don't know how many people realize I have a lot of scars on my face from 39 stitches that went across my head. So every so often, like, I don't know, like every month and a half or so, what I do is something called derma roller. Y'all heard of it? It's basically like, I could show you, but like it's interesting. So basically, this scar has just come to define so many interactions for me. I'm just being honest, like it does. You got 39 stitches across your forehead. You got various scars across your head. It doesn't even make it matter. Like I have so many scars on my head. I have a scar from a brain tumor. I have 9 different scars. Like if I ever lose my hair, I don't fuck, because there's just like scab. Like it's just like all these lines all over my head. And it's just people assume when you have so many scars on your head that you got into a lot of bar fights for some reason. There's no other reason that someone could have a scar on their head. And it's like a jagged scar, it's like right across your forehead. So every so often, what I would do is I run a derma roller across it, and it just makes it smooth it out a little bit. It's kind of like laser. It's the same thing. Effectively, what it does is giving you skincare routine for the first time ever on this channel. So what it does is you create hundreds and hundreds of micro injuries across the scar. This promotes collagen growth. So yeah, so basically my entire head right now, if you can see it, is just like, it's just red. So I just got like, I'm wearing a baseball cap because my head was bleeding earlier. So, thank you so much. Yeah, no, I like it too. It's actually like, this is much more comfortable. That room that I was in was super small. This is much bigger. This is like my office. This is where I do all my editing stuff. So yeah, this is actually a smoother transition. So this is pretty cool. Also, I apologize. My last live, I had the camera set to 480p. Oops. So that kind of sucked. I upped it to 720p, so hopefully it's a little bit better today. But yeah, anyways, guys, have a really great evening. Thank you for sticking out with us. 3 hours and 27 minutes. That's crazy. Thank you so much. Try cucumber mask. It helps. No, it does not. Not with scars. Really? I don't think so, man. No, these are jagged scars. Like these are really, really deep scars, and they're really embedded. So basically, the only way that you can do it is to create all these micro injuries across it, and then every single time you do that, you just have to shield it from sunlight. Otherwise, you get deeper scars. The best way, I don't know, like some of you guys have like scars or whatever from a surgery, like I did, or maybe it's from acne or chicken pox or whatever. And there are solutions. There are definitely solutions. I don't know, man. I'm just thinking like, you know what it is? When I was growing up, I was so poor, and I just feel like people can just see the poor on you. You know what I mean? Like no matter how much money you make, no matter how many properties you buy or whatever, it's like they could always see it on you. And I feel like a lot of that stuff just comes down to the small things, like how straight are your teeth? You know what I mean? Like, were you rich enough that your parents had $2,000-3,000 for your braces when you were younger, or did you not? You know what I mean? And these things just become like social cues for you, and then they become like a sort of way that people just sort of like gauge you societally speaking. You know what I mean? Like you very rarely are going to find a person who is really wealthy and they have crooked teeth. Most likely people who make a lot of money, they figure a way to fix their teeth. You know what I mean? Like you just see it. You see it a lot. I've seen it with filmmakers. Like I see it with like filmmakers who are like, they're kind of poor. They're coming from a poor country. They make it. And then the first thing their agent does is, here's $5,000, go fucking fix your teeth. You know what I mean? It just becomes, it's such a vanity thing for sure. I mean, yeah, sure. Partially, fixing your teeth is part about health and protecting your face shape and all that stuff. But I think like a lot of this stuff is just becomes like a sort of like marker for social stuff. And me personally, like I'm at a business meeting or whatever, and I got this giant jagged scar on my face, and I'm kind of looking at this person like, I hope they don't think that it's because I got into some bar fight. You know what I mean? It's just such a weird thing to have to overcome when you meet people. It was such a stupid thing that happened to me in 2014, and I'm very thankful for it, because obviously I went into the creative field that I did because of it, right? But I got to tell you, like for the first 2 years, I was so embarrassed. I don't know if I'll ever share pictures of like when it happened, but I do have those pictures. My whole face was swollen, like I had stitches all across my head. So anyways, so I do this sporadically every now and again. And to those of you who wonder how a smoker who does not sleep, who does not eat that well, manages and is 35 years old, often manages to get ID'd, well, that's the secret. Quite frankly, I have actually given a shit about my skin, because I'm someone who was not blessed with great skin. I had a lot of acne as a teenager. It really taught me that there is like some sort of value in moisturizing your skin and having a skincare routine and all that stuff. And derma roller can be like a really, really great part of that, because I tell you, like whether you're getting aging lines or it's not that expensive. That's the beautiful thing. It's not that expensive. Have some concept of what you're doing. It's super simple to figure out. Anyways, now I have somehow merged skincare routine and vulnerability about my childhood insecurities into a basketball podcast, but that's what you guys are here for. So anyways, have a good night, y'all. 3 hours and 30 minutes into this live. Hopefully the Raptors announce their coach soon. And as always, thank you for listening, watching, and supporting. Peace, guys.